Chapter 956. Debt with Qiao. Hongxi infuriated. Qiao. Hongxi sneered. What's the rush? I haven't reneged on my promise. Get out of here. Songshi maintained his calm smile. Young Master Qiao, it would be best if you accompany me to meet our old master and young madam. Otherwise, it wouldn't look very good if I were to show up at Hanlin Academy with the bet tomorrow. Xiao Yunduan and Xiao Xian had informed him about the arrangement. Qiao Hongxi stiffened, his anger rising. How dare you? His smile widened. Why not? Debt should always be repaid. Qiao Hongxi cursed inwardly and glared at Songshi. Let's go. He had no choice but to comply. If Songshi truly appeared at Hanlin Academy with the bet, he would be left humiliated before his colleagues. Qiao Hongxi prided himself on his knowledge and advancement, but many secretly harbored jealousy and ostracized him. If they were to learn of this situation, his situation would only worsen. Meanwhile, Xiao Xian and Xiao Yunduan had secured a private room at a nearby tea house, not far from Hanlin Academy. They were happily sipping tea and engaged in lively conversation. Witnessing this, Qiao Hongxi's fury intensified. How could that lowly concubine's daughter deserve such treatment? Young Master Qiao, please have a seat. When do you plan on fulfilling your end of the bet? Xiao Xian wasn't the same person she used to be, nor was she the concubine's daughter who had been restrained by the Qiao family. Therefore, she harbored no fear of Qiao Hongxi's dark glare or twisted expression. Qiao Hongxi knew he couldn't show his face in the next life if it were up to her. Upon hearing her words, Qiao Hongxi sneered. Why are you so worried? Haven't you seen money before? Xiao Xian maintained her smile. Yes, I have seen money before, but the money won from the bet holds a different significance. It is clearly stated in black and white, young Master Qiao. Just say the word, or else we'll have to go to Hanlin Academy to collect it ourselves. You. Qiao Hongxi's expression darkened. Where was he going to find 1,000 liang? His monthly salary at Hanlin Academy was a mere 10 liang, and he had no means of earning extra income. 5 liang had to be paid to the intermediate every month, leaving him with only 5 liang. He had to save for a long time to afford good pens, ink, paper, inkstones, folding fans, jade pendants, sachets, hairpins, belts, and other miscellaneous items. It was only through his parents' occasional financial support that he could indulge in these exquisite and beautiful things. Every time he received money, he would prioritize buying these beautiful items. Additionally, he often had to attend various social events, leaving him with no money to spare. Moreover, how dare a lowly concubine's daughter threaten him? He had no intention of giving them any money. Why, that was merely a joke and you took it seriously. Don't forget that I am your elder brother by blood. Our parents will be returning soon, and you should think about how to explain this to them. Qiao Hongxi snorted. There were no outsiders present, and he was merely being shameless. Xiao Xian found it inconvenient that there were no cell phones in this era to record such situations. People like him should be recorded for all to see. She wanted to reveal his true nature to the world. Xiao Yunduan spoke calmly. Officer Qiao and Madam Qiao can go to the capital, but that has nothing to do with us. You wrote the letter yourself and the senior members of the Qiao family have signed it. You cannot simply back out now. Xiao Xian's smile persisted. What about you? Do you want us to return the money to you at Hanlin Academy, or to the Qiao family? Or perhaps you would like to report us to the governmental office? If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 957. Short-sighted. Qiao Hongxi gritted his teeth and said with a dark look. Xiao Yunduan, you are an advanced scholar now and Xiao Xian is part of the Qiao family. I don't believe that you dare to come to the Hanlin Academy to stop me or report me to the governmental office. You don't want your reputation anymore? Xiao Xian said curiously. Interesting, isn't it right to pay back what you owe? We are siblings in blood, aren't we? You owe us money and you are not afraid of ruining your reputation, so I am definitely going to let you pay back. Xiao Yunduan said, just tell us, are you giving it to us or not? You don't have to worry about us. Qiao Hongxi exclaimed angrily, are you all so short-sighted? Indeed. Xiao Xian chuckled. As long as we witness your humiliation, we will be satisfied. Call it short-sightedness if you like. Qiao Hongxi became increasingly infuriated, turning to Xiao Yunduan and questioning whether Xiao Xian's words were true. Xiao Yunduan cast a tender and affectionate glance at Xiao Xian. That's what my wife says. Qiao Hongxi couldn't help but think that these two individuals were utterly insane. Xiao Yunduan seemed to care little about his own reputation and future, so what was the point of becoming an advanced scholar? In Qiao Hongxi's opinion, someone as foolish as Xiao Yunduan did not deserve to be an officer. He should be exposed for his incompetence. Shi Jin Xiangyu was akin to a precious gem, while they were nothing more than worthless tiles. It wasn't worth engaging in direct conflict with them. Qiao Hongxi finally admitted defeat. She didn't want anyone else to discover this humiliating incident, not at Hanlin Academy, nor within her own family. If Madame Yuejing, her uncles, aunts and cousins were to learn of this, they would surely mock her. Besides, 1,000 liang was not an amount the intermediate would pay on her behalf. After pondering for a moment, Qiao Hongxi reluctantly said, "I don't have that much money at the moment. It will take me approximately 2 months." In less than 2 months, her parents would return to the capital. Her mother must have saved up a considerable amount, and by that time she could borrow some money from her mother to repay the debt. Feeling cornered, Qiao Hongxi had no choice but to appease his mother. He didn't want to reveal the truth to her. Qiao Xian and Xiao Yunduan understood his predicament. They exchanged a knowing glance and Qiao Xian smiled. "That is acceptable, but you must provide a written agreement to ensure you won't go back on your word." Qiao Hongxi glared at her resentfully. He didn't want to write the agreement, but he knew he had no other option. "Fine. As for the remaining 3 kowtows, can we proceed now? There's no need to delay, right?" Qiao Xian suggested. Qiao Hongxi flushed with anger. "You insolent girl, don't push it too far." Xiao Yunduan gave him a cold stare. "My wife is the spouse of an advanced scholar. Qiao Hongxi, show some respect or I won't hold back." To curse at his wife and hit him for no reason. What else could Xiao Yunduan do? Qiao Hongxi panted heavily, glaring at the couple. He had never experienced such humiliation before. And the fact that he had brought it upon himself made Qiao Hongxi almost feel like he was going to cough up blood. What on earth was wrong with him? Why did he say something so foolish? Qiao Xian was in high spirits. She finally had someone to stand up for her. "Let's see if you dare to go back on your word. Qiao Hongxi, your dark secrets are still in our possession, so I suggest you show some respect. If you're unwilling to perform the kowtows, we can negotiate further. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc. Please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible." Chapter 958. Family Price. Qiao Hongxi didn't easily trust Qiao Xian. To him, Qiao Xian was like a demon. Instead of feeling relieved, he grew even more cautious and asked, "What are your intentions?" Qiao Xian chuckled, knowing she wasn't naive. "My idea is simple. 1,000 liang for 1 head and 3,000 liang for 3 heads so you don't have to kowtow 3 times. Qiao Hongxi was speechless. Xiao Yunduan coughed and covered his mouth, a smile of indulgence on his face. When did his wife become so greedy? But he liked it. The Qiao family was extremely poor, and his wife had struck the jackpot. Qiao Hongxi felt a mixture of anger and annoyance. "Why don't you just rob us instead? That's the price of family love, not robbery." Qiao Xian innocently replied. "You are the editor of the Hanlin Academy, a respected man. Isn't kowtowing worth 1,000 taels of silver? I think you need at least 10,000 liang to match your position. How about 1,000 liang it is?" Qiao Hongxi interrupted, startled and not daring to argue further. "Deal?" Qiao Xian smiled. "Okay, let's put it in writing." Qiao Hongxi grumbled as he started to write. He signed the paper and left angrily. As he walked out of the tea house, he staggered and nearly fell. He looked up at the sunlight, feeling dizzy and overwhelmed with a sense of loss. Regret, 4,000 liang had slipped through his fingers. The loss of 4,000 liang hit him hard, causing him to shiver with heartache. He had never held such a large sum of money before. Even when his parents secretly provided him with financial support, it was always in smaller amounts, like 700, 800, 400 or 500. But now they were offered 4,000 liang. He wondered if his mother had any more money. If not, no, he was determined to have his share. Meanwhile, Qiao Xian continued to laugh gleefully as she put away the paper. "Darling, we are so fortunate. Luck is on our side." Xiao Yunduan felt a surge of happiness seeing her smile. "Thanks to your luck, my dear." He was simply riding on her good fortune. Qiao Xian beamed. "Darling, now that you have become an advanced scholar, what do you plan to do? If you want to stay in the capital, we can consider looking at some suburban land. Although the prices are higher in the capital, with 4,000 liang, we should be able to buy a sizable plot. We can even add some more money and buy even more. Xiao Yunduan didn't want to disappoint Qiao Xian, who had her heart set on acquiring land for farming. So he nodded, wearing a smile. Qiao Xian felt twice as elated at the thought of the Qiao family gifting her such a substantial sum, which she could use to purchase land. In Tian Shanshan's room at the Ministry of Personnel, she sat at a round table covered with an exquisitely embroidered tablecloth, engrossed in reading the imperial list. Tian Shanshan smiled as she read the names one by one, finding it quite an interesting activity. Standing beside her, Fu looked puzzled. "Young lady, you're forbidden from finding out who the young master is. Can you discern his identity from the list?" They had been separated from Xiao Yunduan since their encounter at the pear garden the other day. However, with the Tian family's influence, it would have been easy for Tian Shanshan to track down Xiao Yunduan. But she chose not to. She dismissed the idea of searching for him within her own household. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 959. Wait and see. Tian Shanshan glanced at Fu and chuckled. "I don't know, but who cares? I'm sure he must be on the list. Isn't that intriguing?" Fu scratched her head and smiled, still looking a bit puzzled. She couldn't quite grasp what made it so fascinating. But if her lady said it was interesting, then it must be true. She couldn't admit her own ignorance. "If you say so, then it must be true." Tian Shanshan glanced at her and smiled. The young girl was naive. She was adorable but not the brightest. She had no clue about what was happening, and Tian Shanshan had no interest in explaining it to her. She wasn't short-sighted. The person she liked couldn't have possibly failed to become an intermediate advanced scholar. She hoped he might even achieve the top position. She believed that his name must be on the imperial list at that very moment. As she looked at the names, she thought about the man she liked, who might become her future husband, and it filled her with even more happiness. The mysterious sense of destiny was too marvelous. She simply needed to savor it quietly. Just imagine, in the future when they were together, they could reminisce about this day. That would be a remarkable twist of fate. The imperial examination was about to commence, and she was eager to observe. The atmosphere during the examination wasn't as tense as the imperial examination itself, but after all the hard work they had put in, everyone hoped for a favorable ranking. As the day arrived for them to enter the Hall of Supreme Harmony, they all felt a sense of solemnity. Qiao Xian, on the other hand, had no need to worry about the ranking examination, so she had a leisurely day. They were busy preparing delicious food at home, eagerly awaiting Xiao Yunduan's return so they could enjoy it together. In the following days, when the rankings were announced, they embarked on various outings within and outside the city, marveling at beautiful sights and purchasing local specialties. They had a wonderful time. Little did they expect that Xiao Yunduan would become the Primus. Qiao Xian and Xiao Yunduan were both stunned when they heard the news. It wasn't until they bid farewell to the officer, Lu Min and Gu Zhiyou, who came to offer their congratulations, and exchanged pleasantries with the neighbors who had gathered to witness the celebration, that they closed the door. It was then that Li Xia and others knelt down to offer their congratulations and rewards. Yet even at that moment they couldn't quite believe it. Xiao Yunduan knew he had performed well and believed he would rank highly. But to be the Primus? That was beyond his expectations. Even now he was still in a state of disbelief. Qiao Xian was taken aback. "Darling, I have become the wife of the Primus? Oh my God, I am the wife of the Primus." Xiao Yunduan chuckled and took her in his arms, twirling her around. "Yes, you are the one and only Mrs. Primus, the first in 3 years." Qiao Xian couldn't help but burst into laughter. Xiao Yunduan held her hands. "From now on there will be even greater achievements, all for you." A bright smile spread across Qiao Xian's face. The two of them exchanged a glance and felt an overwhelming sense of joy. However, within the Ministry of Personnel, chaos ensued. The day before the results were announced, Tian Shanshan sketched Xiao Yunduan's face and asked her father to find out if the Primus was indeed the same man she had in mind. Tian Shanshan was skilled in various arts such as playing the zither, chess, calligraphy, and painting. With her remarkable memory, she could vividly depict Xiao Yunduan's appearance on paper. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 960. Elder Miss Tian. It was a simple matter for the Minister of Personnel to acquire the rankings of the newly appointed scholars before their official release. Upon hearing that the Primus was named Xiao Yunduan, the minister instructed someone to compare the portrait with the distinguished gentleman. As Elder Miss' words reached their ears, the servants immediately understood the situation. After confirming that it was indeed the same person, they hurriedly made their way to the Tian family to deliver the momentous news. Word quickly spread. It turned out that the man who had captured Elder Miss' attention had become the Primus. Elder Miss Tian, you have excellent taste. It's a match made in heaven. Destiny. Destiny. What a remarkable tale. Primus Qiao is incredibly fortunate. I can't help but feel envious. Xiao Yunduan's name swiftly circulated throughout the capital, making him the fastest and most revered Primus in the history of the Qin dynasty. Understandably, many people sought to uncover his background. Before long, the issue surfaced. Primus Qiao was already married, and his wife had accompanied him to the capital for the examination, standing by his side. This revelation left everyone stunned. They were speechless. Whenever the imperial examination candidates arrived in the capital, the focus was solely on the candidates themselves. No one cared about their marital status or the presence of their spouse. The situation gave rise to numerous divorces. The idea of a wife accompanying her husband to the capital for the examination was unheard of and highly unusual. Women were not accustomed to such extensive travel, and few men were willing to undertake such a long journey with their wives. However, fate seemed to have played a role. Oh my, Primus Qiao is already married. In my opinion, Primus Qiao's family cannot be compared to Elder Miss from the Ministry of Personnel. They are worlds apart. But they are still a married couple. What will Elder Miss do? Such a dreadful predicament. I wonder if Primus Qiao regrets it. No, could it be a misunderstanding? I have never heard of anyone bringing their wife to the capital for the examination. Is that even allowed? I am not sure, and no one else seems to know either. Perhaps it is a misunderstanding. But how can that be? A fellow townsman of Primus Qiao even visited their residence and witnessed it firsthand. What they said must be true. The Tian family felt a mixture of embarrassment and frustration. The matter had been significant from the start, and at this point, it could no longer be concealed. Those individuals who had held a grudge against the Tian family were likely reveling in their misfortune behind closed doors. Officer Tian's face darkened as he snapped at Tian Shanshan. You are nothing but trouble. Why didn't you find out if he was married? What are we supposed to do now? Madame Tian sympathized with her daughter and spoke with anger. Shanshan has been treated unjustly. Old master, we must find a solution. Officer Tian sneered. What other options do we have? It's too late to seek a divorce now. But we can't abandon Shanshan like this, can we? What else can I do when my heart is not in it? If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc. Please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 961. Looking down at her, Tian Shanshan listened to her parents' argument with a cold expression on her face. After a moment, she spoke in a cold tone. Father, there's a solution to every problem. Primus Qiao is not married, and this is all a misunderstanding. If he comes forward and clarifies the situation, everything will be resolved. Officer Tian and Madame Tian were taken aback by her words. Madame Tian's eyes lit up. Yes, you're right. It's just a baseless rumor. Once Primus Qiao sets the record straight, the rumor will be dispelled. I believe someone must be envious of Primus Qiao and spreading false information. Officer Tian furrowed his brow and spoke in a deep voice. Shanshan, do you truly wish to marry Primus Qiao? His question surprised Madame Tian as well. She couldn't help but interject. Yes, Shanshan, you have so many eligible suitors among the noble young masters in the capital. You can have your pick. Primus Qiao is from a small town and lacks the qualifications to be compared to them. He simply isn't worthy of you. Tian Shanshan couldn't help but recall the events of that day. The pear blossoms, pure and white, danced in the air, and the young man stood before her in his simple green attire. Yet there was an unmatched elegance and an aura that captivated her. His eyes, like precious black gems, were clear and radiant, seemingly capable of ensnaring one's soul. He was aware of her noble background, yet he remained composed and graceful, neither servile nor arrogant. It ignited a desire within her to conquer him. She couldn't accept it. Why did he look down on her? The more she dwelled on this, the more her thoughts spiraled. She couldn't stop herself. If only he weren't the Primus, it would have been fine. But he was. When she received the news, she was overjoyed. This man was fated to belong to her. Dad, Mom, if I don't marry him, well be the laughingstock of the capital. He has to marry me. Tian Shanshan asserted firmly. We can't afford to be humiliated, Officer Tian sighed, sharing a glance with Madame Tian. The Tian family couldn't bear the shame. Both parents regretted allowing their daughter to have her way without knowing whom she had set her sights on. They should have discreetly investigated her interests and resolved the matter privately. That way, everything would have proceeded smoothly, and everyone would have been content. But their daughter had always been intelligent and reliable, earning their trust. Yet this time something went terribly wrong. It was an enormous mistake. The couple felt utterly helpless. Dad, Mom, please trust me. I'm going to marry Primus Xiao. I promise he won't disappoint you, Tian Shanshan pleaded, rising from her seat and respectfully addressing her parents. Her words infused Madame Tian and Officer Tian with renewed determination and confidence. Tian Shanshan bid her parents farewell and made her way back to her residence. During the journey she remained silent, her head bowed. Fu followed behind her, maintaining complete silence out of caution. She was resolute in her decision to marry him. She had not only fallen in love with him, but she also refused to endure such humiliation. As the direct daughter of the Minister of Personnel, she was one of the most remarkable noble ladies in the capital. She couldn't bear such disgrace when it came to marriage. How would she face society in the future? She would become the wife of the Primus, ensuring her husband's bright future as a first-class official. With the support of her father, brothers, cousins, and noble concubine, accomplishing this would be a straightforward task. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 962. Unexpected trouble. Her husband's accomplishments would indeed be impressive. At that time she would still be the proud heaven's daughter, and the most esteemed young lady in the capital, admired by all. Everyone would commend her excellent taste. In due time this incident would be forgotten, buried in the depths of people's memories. No one would dare to bring it up to her. Tian Shanshan wasn't panicking, she was seething with anger. She couldn't believe there was such a foolish man in the world who would abandon her, the Minister of Personnel's daughter. She was frustrated that Primus Xiao had already married, and even if she managed to steal him away, he would still have belonged to another woman. But then she realized, what difference would it make if she married someone who had never been married before? Before marriage, many princes, kings, and young noblemen from prestigious families boasted about their abstinence from concubines or courtesans. It was all a facade. That thought somewhat comforted her. Xiao Yunduan and Xiao Xian were equally shocked by the news. The couple found themselves contemplating the situation. What was happening? Xiao Xian chuckled to herself, acknowledging that she had wished for some challenges to test her in life, as everything had been going too smoothly. True gold feared no fire. Only through trials and tribulations could true emotions be revealed and cherished, even if it meant sacrificing everything. And now they found themselves facing an unexpected ordeal. Caught completely off guard. Absurd. Xiao Yunduan's frustration was evident as he furrowed his brow, voicing his thoughts. Darling, it's just a mishap. It will blow over in a few days. We shouldn't worry about it. Xiao Xian regarded him, then spoke after a brief pause. But what if it doesn't blow over? A sinking feeling gripped the couple's hearts. They were not naive. They understood that this matter wouldn't simply fade away. The Tian family lacked noble status, and they had committed a significant blunder. The entire capital was ridiculing them. How could they simply endure it? While Xiao Yunduan was not at fault, the noble families wouldn't care about such details. Xiao Xian didn't expect the Tian family to be reasonable or seek a resolution. Instead they would likely vent their anger. As Xiao Yunduan's wife, she and Xiao Yunduan would become targets of blame. Xiao Xian didn't fear death because she knew the Tian family wouldn't have the audacity to go that far. However, they might resort to more clandestine actions. I will, Xiao Yunduan declared resolutely, gripping Xiao Xian's hands firmly. He appeared determined and serious. Darling Xian, don't worry. I will honor my promise. I won't pursue an official career anymore. Xiao Yunduan felt a sense of relief as he spoke those words. He had already achieved his aspirations, recommended man, advanced scholar, and Primus. He was on the path to becoming a scholar. He had no regrets in this lifetime. If the realm of officialdom was shrouded in darkness, where those in power could act with impunity, then he would distance himself from it. He would rather retreat to the county and spend the rest of his life peacefully with his wife. Qiao Xian was taken aback, her eyes widening in astonishment. Are you certain? But I don't want that to happen. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 963. When did you see her? He didn't want to abandon his ambitions and return to his hometown after achieving the title of Primus. Qiao Xian shared the same sentiment. She didn't want him to have any regrets in the future. We aren't the ones at fault, so why should we bear the consequences? It's too early to make decisions. Let's observe the situation for now, Qiao Xian suggested. Xiao Yunduan smiled and agreed, you're right. We're not there yet. Let's wait and see. But I'm being honest with you. Qiao Xian's heart felt a mix of sweetness and bitterness. She held his hands tightly and whispered, we can discuss this later. I don't want to be separated from you either. She didn't want to be apart from him. Good, then I have nothing to fear. Xiao Yunduan embraced her warmly. Qiao Xian laughed but suddenly let out a scream, standing upright and looking up at him. Lady Tian has fallen for you, hasn't she? Xiao Yunduan sensed something was amiss, but he hesitantly nodded. I believe so. When did you meet her? Qiao Xian asked, her tone filled with curiosity. What? Considering the rumors, Lady Tian must be proud and arrogant. It's unlikely that she fell for you just from a distance. Something must have happened that captivated her, something she deemed special. She could sense that you were destined for greatness, which is why she said those things. But how do you know her? Xiao Yunduan inquired. Qiao Xian paused, wearing a bitter expression. I don't know either. Xiao Yunduan felt unsettled. Qiao Xian's bitterness turned into suspicion. Xiao Yunduan grew anxious and held Qiao Xian's hands firmly. Darling, trust me, I will never. He suddenly recalled the encounter in the pear garden during the intermediate examination. Qiao Xian, who had been staring at him, couldn't help but give him a reproachful look, feeling a twinge of jealousy. Go on. Xiao Yunduan felt a headache coming on and was torn between amusement and frustration. He proceeded cautiously, Darling, please don't be angry. I just remembered, I might have met her before but I didn't do anything. We merely had a chance encounter. Qiao Xian maintained an unwavering gaze, indicating her disbelief. I stumbled upon a handkerchief. Why did you pick it up? How could you do that? I didn't. I felt that if those items were picked up by someone with ill intentions, it wouldn't be good for the girl. We were gathered in the pear garden, and many candidates were waiting for the examination. My heart softened and I picked up the brocade handkerchief. Shortly after, a couple of maids and servants dressed as men appeared, seemingly searching for something. They caught sight of me. Xiao Yunduan spilled everything in one go, speaking earnestly. His words flowed so smoothly that it was evident he wasn't fabricating the story. I only exchanged a few words with her, I swear. If I had known it would cause such trouble, I wouldn't have been so meddlesome. I shouldn't have returned the handkerchief to them. I should have burned it and disposed of it. Darling, please don't be angry. It's just my speculation. The Tian family may not be the master and servant. He genuinely had no idea. Qiao Xian felt a tinge of annoyance and playfully pinched him. It's your fault for being curious. Besides this incident, is there anything else? No. Xiao Yunduan shook his head. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 964. Known, are you sure? Think about it carefully. Absolutely not. They had already gone through enough trouble this time and couldn't afford to go through it again. Qiao Xian let out a sigh. If that's the case, then you must have encountered Lady Tian. Lady Tian could easily deduce that he was one of the candidates from the gathering they attended earlier. And he had recognized her as a woman disguised as a man, but he had no interest in her whatsoever, which would be quite intriguing for proud noble ladies. However, at that time, Lady Tian might not have genuinely wanted to marry him. After all, an ordinary candidate in the imperial examination wouldn't capture the attention of a top-tier noble lady. He had to stand out. He needed to be at the very top of the Primus rankings at the very least. That was why Lady Tian had declared that no one should compete with her once the imperial examination results were announced. She wanted first pick. It was clear as day who she intended to choose. If Xiao Yunduan topped the Primus rankings, she would have chosen him. Otherwise, she would have made a mockery out of it. After all, she was one of the most prestigious noble ladies in the capital and could have her pick among the advanced scholars. No one would dare to refuse her. How could she know if the man who became the Primus was the same man she had encountered that day? It wouldn't be difficult for the Tian family to find out the truth. But what irritated Xiao Xian was that they should have verified if he was already married. Why did they have to create so much trouble? But now the news had spread to everyone. They both felt incredibly embarrassed. In the evening, Lu Min and Gu Zhiyou came to offer their condolences to Qiao Xian and Xiao Yunduan. Qiao Xian and Xiao Yunduan expressed their gratitude, but they also informed Lu Min and Gu Zhiyou that they planned to stay home for the next few days and didn't need any further visits. They didn't want to trouble others or involve them in their predicament. Lu Min and Gu Zhiyou sighed. Brother Xiao, sister-in-law, don't worry. This will blow over in a few days. Well, stay at the inn and avoid going out. If you need any help, just let Songshi know and we'll be there for you. We might not be able to do much, but we can run errands or assist in any way possible. Xiao Yunduan expressed his gratitude for their kind offer. 2 days later was the auspicious day according to the zodiac, and the celebratory banquet was scheduled for 2 days after that. Once that day arrived, they would meet the emperor, attend the banquet, and then the official appointment would be announced. In other words, if they could make it through the next 2 days, everything would be fine. For the next 2 days, the couple decided to seclude themselves at home and avoid receiving any visitors. Xiao Yunduan believed that his fellow students would understand the sensitivity of the situation and likely refrain from visiting him during such an awkward time. They would probably keep their distance. That night, they didn't sleep well, but their hearts felt strangely closer. They became each other's pillar of support and solace, finding strength and motivation in their mutual devotion. The next morning, to their surprise, the Qiao family paid them a visit. And they were all there, present and accounted for. Madam Lady Qiao, Old Master Qiao, Second Old Master and his wife, and Qiao Hongxi, accompanied by a few male and female servants, arrived in 2 large carts with over 10 people. As they entered the yard and house, the space became noticeably crowded. Madam Lady Qiao and the other members of the Qiao family gazed at the couple with a mix of complex emotions in their eyes. There was a sense of disbelief, as if they couldn't fully accept the situation, yet there was also a trace of gloating satisfaction. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 965. Trouble. But Xiao Yunduan had indeed become the Primus. The news hit Xiao Hongxi especially hard, and his heart ached upon hearing it. He, an advanced scholar, couldn't help but feel humiliated by the fact that Xiao Yunduan had achieved the prestigious position of Primus. It stung even more when he thought about how Xiao Yunduan would soon be working at Hanlin Academy, and how their paths would cross in the future. However, within a mere half-day, news of Xiao Yunduan's accomplishments spread throughout the capital. He was being touted as the recommended man of the Tian family. In that moment, Xiao Hongxi couldn't help but feel a pang of jealousy. The thought of Xiao Yunduan's success and the attention he had garnered from the Tian family made him envious. But a mischievous smile crept onto Qiao Hongxi's face as he considered Xiao Xian's situation. It seemed like a fitting retribution. Xiao Yunduan and Xiao Xian had brought this upon themselves by crossing paths with the influential Tian family. And now they were trapped. However, the Tian family wasn't ready to let go of Xiao Yunduan. And thus, this is where they found themselves. Xiao Yunduan was soon to be married to the eldest daughter of the Tian family, and he would become a close cousin to the 4th prince. With the support of both the Tian family and the 4th prince, his future career prospects appeared smooth and promising. While others struggled and trembled with uncertainty, he had already moved forward. Qiao Hongxi's sense of bitterness intensified. But he had no choice. This was the reality of her life and she had to accept it. How fortunate Xiao Yunduan was to have captured the attention of the eldest daughter. The Qiao family had their own hidden agenda, and each of them had come for a specific purpose. Whether they were willing participants or not. What brings you here? Xiao Yunduan inquired, noting the lack of furniture and chairs available, leaving Madam Lady Qiao and Qiao Hongxi to settle for small stools borrowed from the kitchen. Madam Lady Qiao dismissed the servants and attempted to put on a kind demeanor, smiling warmly. Well, it's definitely something good, something great. You're incredibly fortunate. Xiao Yunduan returned the smile. Madam Lady Qiao, you jest. I can't attribute my achievements to mere luck. What I have attained today is the result of decades of hard work and dedication, the fruit of my efforts and understanding. Qiao Xian chimed in, her smile gentle. Indeed, you have rightfully earned the title of Primus, and I have witnessed your unwavering diligence. It would be remiss to discount the element of fortune that has accompanied your journey. Madame Yuezhing displayed a hint of displeasure as she forced a smile. I was merely making a remark, but you take it so seriously. That's not the kind of fortune I was referring to. I believe the news has already reached your ears? What news? Qiao Xian inwardly sneered. Madam Lady Qiao, pray tell, what news are we supposedly aware of? Indeed. Old Master Qiao frowned. Xian, how can you speak to your grandmother in such a manner? Before Qiao Xian could retort, Xiao Yunduan interjected, Old Master Qiao, if I may kindly address my wife as Madam Xiao. Shall I submit the termination letter to the appropriate governmental office? Qiao Xian aimed to provoke them further and struck with precision. Yes, the termination letter has been meticulously drafted, signed and sealed. Are you suggesting a change of heart? How shameless. You think you can curry favor with my husband once he ascends to the rank of intermediate Primus? Dream on. You. How dare you? Silence. The members of the Qiao family grew incensed, their faces flushed with anger. Qiao Hongxi could no longer contain his frustration and sneered. So what? One Primus every 3 years. There are countless others who are destitute. Qiao Xian taunted, Oh? Are you looking down on the position of Primus? Well, you certainly won't be able to attain it. You. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc. Please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 966, Good Fortune. Then what brings you here? Old Master Qiao's voice boomed with anger. You have already offended the Tian family, and yet you dare to dream of becoming the Primus? How ludicrous. Do you have any idea what kind of family the Tian family is? They are like the mighty clouds in the sky, while you are nothing more than mud on the ground. If you provoke the Tian family, they can squash you as easily as they would crush an ant. Do not assume I am deceiving you. The power of the Tian family is beyond your wildest imagination. Understand this, even if you were to be killed, the Ministry of Justice wouldn't dare to investigate your case. Now, can we engage in a civilized conversation? Xiao Yunduan and Xiao Xian realized that they were in the company of those who served the Tian family, mere minions and lackeys. Correction, they aspired to be the lackeys, minions and lapdogs of the Tian family. Xiao Yunduan had to ensure that the Tian family had concluded their business so that he could fulfill his role as their lackey, minion, and lapdog. It was no wonder the entire Qiao family had gathered here. Everyone in the family seemed overly eager to serve as dogs to others, fearing they would miss the opportunity. What is it that you want? The Qiao family sneered, displaying their arrogance. Old Master Qiao proclaimed with pride, Xiao Yunduan, you are fortunate that the Tian family favors you. Despite being married, the Tian family bears no displeasure towards you. That too is your good fortune. However, be cautious not to turn your fortune into misfortune. Let me make it clear, the Tian family is still willing to arrange a marriage between elder Miss Tian and you. Tomorrow you can publicly declare that the rumors were merely misunderstandings. Qiao Xian is not your wife, but your concubine, and the Qiao family can provide evidence to support this claim. We will also write a letter to our third brother and third sister-in-law, informing them of the situation and ensuring that we all share the same account of events. Since the marriage arrangement with elder Miss Tian has been settled, Qiao Xian should no longer remain here. We will bring her back home today, and once elder Miss Tian is married, we will bring her back as well. That is also the intention of the Tian family. Elder Miss Tian is not an unreasonable person. As long as Qiao Xian behaves herself, she will certainly lead a comfortable life. First Madame Qiao couldn't help but sneer. If you continue to be so sharp-tongued, you will only invite trouble upon yourself. Second Old Master spoke, Xiao Yunduan, you must understand that being with the Tian family ensures a secure future like no other. It's something others can only dream of. You should know what is in your best interest. Offending the Tian family would mean kissing your aspirations of becoming an official goodbye. No one will hire you or promote you. Second Mrs. Yuezhing added, Qiao Xian, if you genuinely care about Xiao Yunduan, you should assist him. As a concubine's daughter, occupying the position of his wife brings him no benefits. Compared to elder Miss Tian, you are insignificant. Madame Lady Qiao chimed in, the Tian family is generous and we can let bygones be bygones. Let's proceed accordingly. It had been a long time since Qiao Xian had felt angered by anyone. But upon hearing the words from the Qiao family, her frustration boiled within her. She knew they would never say anything positive, and she understood their shamelessness. But she had underestimated them. They were truly a united family, capable of presenting shameless words as dignified and reasonable. What did they mean by, "let bygones be bygones"? Xiao Yunduan's expression darkened and he spoke icily, "I refuse." "What? I might as well abandon this career. I refuse." Old Master Qiao slammed his hand on the armrest of his chair and snapped, "Xiao Yunduan, have some shame. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc. please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible." Chapter 967, Can't Stop. First Madame Qiao chuckled and sneered. "You really don't understand what's happening, do you? You don't want to comply? You have no right to speak. It's your good fortune that the Tian family favors you, or rather, it's your fortune. Why don't you grasp that?" Xiao Yunduan replied coldly, "What will the Tian family do if I refuse?" Madame Lady Qiao's gaze turned sharp as she spoke in a deep voice. "You genuinely refuse?" "Yes. That decision is not yours to make." Madame Lady Qiao found it absurd. The Tian family must be out of their minds to be drawn to someone like Xiao Yunduan. "Xian is a member of the Qiao family and we are your elders. We have every right to intervene. Don't mention the severance letter." "So what? Xian may have no connection to our family, but we are still her relatives, and it's our responsibility to be involved in her affairs." Qiao Xian and Xiao Yunduan exchanged glances. They had underestimated the situation. They had never expected these individuals to be so shameless in their attempt to curry favor with the Tian family. Qiao Xian realized she had been too naive to think that possessing the severance letter would tarnish the Qiao family's reputation and secure a plan where the Qiao family would no longer pose any trouble in the future. They would, at the very least, avoid any losses. However, they had gone to great lengths to exploit this loophole. Qiao Xian had no choice but to admit defeat. She had lost either way. "What do you want?" Madame Lady Qiao smiled coldly. "It seems you prefer the hard way, refusing to listen. That's why we won't hold back. Xian, come and stay with us for a while." "What? How dare you? Just try and see if you can prevent it." Madame Lady Qiao showed no fear of Xiao Yunduan's changing expression. She spoke with disdain. "In any case, we are taking her away today. If you truly wish to be close to her, you know what to do. Once we are satisfied, we will treat her well and return her to you in the future. Otherwise, if any harm befalls her, it will be solely due to her impulsive actions and will have nothing to do with anyone else." "You?" Xiao Yunduan trembled with anger. Qiao Xian's heart sank. When the family made a decision, they truly became a ferocious beast. As long as she was a daughter of the Qiao family, even if the Qiao family killed her, no one would report them to the authorities. Xiao Yunduan spoke coldly. "You want to resort to force just because you have numbers? Fine, let's give it a try. We will repay you tenfold. If you dare to do so, I will report you to the authorities and everyone will know about this. I can relinquish my position and you will be stuck with me forever, won't you? If you're so determined, I will accompany you." The Qiao family fell silent. They were both shocked and fearful. Xiao Yunduan proved to be even more ruthless than them. Xiao Yunduan had no fear of a life-and-death struggle, whereas they did. It wasn't worth sacrificing the entire family for the sake of these two individuals. Madame Lady Qiao and her two sons began to regret their agreement with the Tian family's housekeeper and their entanglement within this affair. But both parties seemed to be equally unhinged. They were becoming increasingly difficult to handle. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc. please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 968, Helpless. Second Mrs. Qiao suddenly turned towards Qiao Xian. "Qiao Xian, do you truly wish for Xiao Yunduan to sacrifice his future for you? You know how hard he has worked to achieve his current position, and now everything is at risk because of you. Is that truly what you want? If so, I truly question whether you treat him well and regard him as your husband." First Madame Qiao chimed in. "Indeed, we all desire for our husbands to lead good lives. But you are not a good wife." Qiao Xian pondered silently to herself. "If I were to listen to you, I wouldn't even be your wife, so what does being a good wife matter?" Xiao Yunduan spoke up. "You don't need to force my wife into anything. You don't understand the dynamics between me and my wife. Just leave." Qiao Xian had no intention of giving in to these two women. but upon hearing Xiao Yunduan's words, she felt a surge of joy as if she were inhaling sweetness. Darling is right. Your words hold no weight with us. Don't waste your efforts. You can curry favor with the Tian family and the Zhang family, but you are mistaken to use us as stepping stones. If there's nothing else, please leave. The expressions on the faces of the Qiao family turned grim. Madame Yuezhing grew increasingly frustrated. What do you know? You think too highly of yourself. You don't have to concern yourself with our family. What if I make you leave today? Qiao Xian chuckled. This is my home and am not going anywhere. Xiao Yunduan declared, if you dare to take my wife away, go ahead and try. The Qiao family exchanged furtive glances among themselves. They had no idea what to do and thus they didn't dare to make an attempt. Qiao Hongxi couldn't help but speak up. You talk big, but I don't believe you truly don't care about your future. Even if he were to become an advanced scholar, he would only be able to attain an intermediate position, let alone become a Primus. He would have a promising future in the governmental office. No one would willingly abandon that. No scholar in the world would willingly do so. Xiao Yunduan's expression remained unchanged. If the Qiao family wants to make a wager, he'll accompany you. Qiao Hongxi grew so frustrated that he was left speechless. The mention of gambling irked Xiao Yunduan. He despised such risky bets. You're on your own. If you regret it, you can send Xiao Xian home. Xiao Yunduan, you're still young and you'll come to regret this. Old Master Qiao retorted with a harsh tone. Madame Yuezhing glared at Xiao Xian, snorted, and then assisted her daughter-in-law before leaving with the others. As the door closed behind them, they exchanged glances and burst into laughter. Darling, are we laughing because we're being reckless? Xiao Yunduan smiled. Xiao Xian chuckled and sighed. If you don't regret it, then I won't consider myself clever either. Let's take it step by step. If it truly comes to that, if it does, we can simply leave the capital, Xiao Yunduan interjected, covering her mouth with his hand. Xiao Xian blinked and nodded in agreement. The Tian family was merely seeking revenge. If they were to depart, the Tian family wouldn't go as far as to kill them all. It wouldn't be beneficial for them to do so. After all, they weren't mortal enemies. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 969. Humiliation. However, if that were the case, Xiao Yunduan's dreams of becoming an official would be shattered forever. He had been a promising Primus just the day before, and in a single moment he had lost it all, leaving Qiao Xian feeling deeply displeased. The Qiao family scolded Xiao Xian and Xiao Yunduan, their brows furrowed in worry. What were they going to do now? How would they explain this to the Tian family? They had made a promise to the Tian family through their housekeeper, but now, it was a humiliating situation to be in. But that was the least of their worries. Offending the Tian family meant they would never have a chance to excel in the intermediate level. If the Tian family was displeased, they would undoubtedly seek revenge. Those two wretches are so stubborn and unyielding. I don't understand how third brother and third sister-in-law raised her. How can Xian be so disrespectful? It's humiliating. What's the point of saying this now? The entire family lacked the courage to confront Xiao Yunduan and Xiao Xian directly, so they had no choice but to face the scolding from the Tian family. As the housekeeper of the Tian family listened to old Master Qiao's feeble response, he fell silent for a moment. He couldn't believe it. After all, in such a situation, anyone would know what to do. Did they truly not care about their promising future and insist on keeping a concubine's daughter as the wife? Furthermore, the Tian family was not an unreasonable family. They simply wanted the concubine's daughter to relinquish the position of the main wife, allowing her to benefit in the future. He wasn't even willing to do that? Did you really tell them everything? Everything? Butler Tian repeated, seeking confirmation. The two old masters of the Qiao family felt even more humiliated. They had no choice but to nod, admitting their incompetence. Butler Tian didn't seem pleased with their response. He snorted dismissively. Anyway, you don't have to concern yourselves with this any longer. The two old masters of the Qiao family nodded and left, not daring to ask for any further favors. As long as the Tian family didn't hold a grudge against them or blame them for their actions, they would be grateful. Those two wretches deserve to be taught a lesson. It seems they want to do things the hard way. When the Tian family deals with them, they'll realize what they're truly capable of. They don't even know how lucky they are to be in the intermediate level. They were born with bad luck. Absolutely true. The two old masters of the Qiao family were both frustrated and annoyed. They wondered why such a great opportunity hadn't fallen on their own sons but instead on the foolish head of Xiao Yunduan. It was such a waste. Butler Tian reported the situation to Officer Tian and his wife, who were greatly displeased. Officer Tian had been hesitant and reluctant to take action, but Xiao Yunduan's rejection had infuriated him. Did they truly believe they could be arrogant just because they had become Primus? How dare they turn down the Tian family? Madame Tian grew even more furious. This is too much. Old master, we must teach them a lesson. Her daughter was precious, and yet she had been humiliated time and time again. It was an act of bullying that couldn't be tolerated. Officer Tian sneered, turning to the housekeeper. You can go to Xiao Yunduan personally. No, go to the Qiao family. You know what to tell him, don't you? Butler Tian nodded firmly. I know exactly what to say. Good, then go ahead. Very well, old master. Butler Tian discreetly arrived at Xiao Yunduan and Xiao Xian's home in an inconspicuous wagon. Hearing the abrupt and forceful knock on the door, the couple immediately sensed that something was amiss. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 970. No regret, and he could tell that the visitor was from the Tian family based on his attire and haughty demeanor. Butler Tian paid no attention to their presence. In his view, the Qiao family failed to secure the deal because they failed to present a thorough analysis of its advantages and disadvantages. He doubted their inability to exert control over the situation. Butler Tian had no time for idle talk. With cold and unwavering pride, he conveyed all the necessary information. In conclusion, he spoke icily. Surely you understand this, don't you? If not, you can forget about becoming the Primus. I can provide you with a more explicit explanation. Mr. Primus, the path to success lies before you. With a single nod, you can ascend to the top and indulge in a life of luxury. Your family and clan will rise alongside you, evoking jealousy and all. It's a privilege that others can only dream of. Mr. Primus, are you still hesitant? You must carefully contemplate this. It marks a significant divergence. Butler Tian refrained from issuing any direct threats, yet each word carried an ominous undertone. Xiao Yunduan felt an unexpected tranquility within his heart. He possessed his own ambitions and objectives, and he refused to accept such an offer. But he would never have regrets. He could not engage in such immoral, shameless, and dishonorable acts, nor had he ever contemplated leveraging nepotism for personal gain within the government. Even as a first-class official, he wouldn't be able to live a peaceful life in that manner. In this world, there were those who solely pursued profit, and there were those who upheld righteousness and integrity. I will ponder upon it, Xiao Yunduan replied slowly after a moment of silence. Xiao Xian cast a glance at him but remained silent. Butler Tian wore an expression of smug satisfaction. There's no need for you to contemplate, is there? Mr. Primus, I expect a prompt response. Our old master and madam await my answer. Xiao Yunduan replied, I need time to think. Steward Tian stumbled over his words, his irritation evident. He shot a displeased look at Xiao Yunduan and said, Very well, I shall return tomorrow, and I hope Mr. Primus will have a satisfactory answer by then. But Butler Tian remained indifferent to Xiao Xian's demeanor and her willingness to comply. In his view, Xiao Xian had no authority to voice her opinion. She lacked the qualifications to accept such an offer. Xiao Yunduan remained silent. Butler Tian sneered and departed. Xiao Xian turned towards Xiao Yunduan, her expression filled with inquiry. You, listen to me first. Xiao Yunduan placed his hands on Xiao Xian's shoulders and forced a gentle smile. Let's leave the capital. Xiao Xian's eyes widened. I want us to attend the Qianglin banquet the day after tomorrow. If that doesn't work out, we can leave the capital. I refuse to yield even if I may have regrets. Xiao Xian experienced a surge of complex emotions. It felt as if her internal organs were entangled in a jumble. It was the worst-case scenario they had discussed. However, as the moment drew near, Xiao Xian discovered her heart racing in disarray, and her legs growing weak. Tears welled up in her eyes. You fool, Xiao Yunduan chuckled, gently wiping away the tears at the corner of her eyes. He lowered his head and planted a tender kiss on her forehead. With a resolute tone, he said, Tomorrow I will have Songsher discreetly search for a hostel. The day after tomorrow, you will stay at the hostel. It's best if you don't remain here any longer. No one could predict the actions the Tian family might take when they exerted such pressure on them. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 971. Xiao shook her head and firmly declined. No, there's no need. I will wait for you here. The Tian family won't act recklessly at this moment, with the entire situation blown up and everyone watching. You're not an ordinary person. You hold the position of Primus, and the Tian family won't confront you openly. We shouldn't worry too much. I will wait here for you and then we'll leave the capital together. You're just being overly concerned. I can handle it. Moreover, Xiao Yunduan would be attending the banquet, and she had no fear of anyone causing trouble. If the Tian family dared to make a move, she wouldn't mind teaching them a lesson. Unable to persuade Xiao Yunduan tried to convince himself that her reasoning was sound. He was simply overly worried. The next morning Butler Tian returned. He sought Xiao Yunduan for an answer. However, he was unsuccessful as Xiao Yunduan had taken Xiao out for a walk. Only Li Qiao and Li Xiao remained at home. Butler Tian sneered. The Primus is in such a carefree mood going for a stroll. It seems he has already made his choice and is completely unconcerned. He must be consoling Miss Qiao for her position as the official wife. That must be the case. Butler Tian wasn't particularly pleased. He felt that Xiao Yunduan was excessively indulgent towards Xiao, and if he happened to encounter someone who knew him, they might speak ill of Miss Qiao. He lacked discernment. Butler Tian needed to report this to the old master and madam so they could provide guidance and keep him company, or else it would bring disgrace upon the Tian family. As for Miss Qiao, it seemed that Mr. Primus held affection for her, so they couldn't keep her any longer. When she was sent back to the Qiao family, they could handle her as they pleased. When the Primus and elder Miss were married, they would surely grow fond of each other, and they would no longer remember Miss Qiao. Butler Tian began to contemplate the future. Meanwhile, Xiao Yunduan and Xiao embarked on a boat trip, enjoyed a lakeside lunch and went fishing. Luckily they managed to catch a few fish. For dinner they found a small restaurant and requested the owner to cook the fish. Alongside 2 home-cooked dishes they shared a meal together. Only when the sky darkened did they return home, contented. The capital was vast, and regardless of the Tian family's influence, it was impossible to locate 2 individuals amidst the sea of people. Upon their arrival home, Butler Tian, who had been waiting for quite some time, grew increasingly irritated, his face darkening. Mr. Primus, you seem to be in quite a good mood. Where have you been? What took you so long? He exclaimed. Xiao Yunduan cast a composed glance at him and smiled. Butler Tian, you certainly carry an air of authority. However, his tone held a hint of reproach. Butler Tian stiffened, realizing that Mr. Primus would soon become his son-in-law. He inwardly sighed, acknowledging his impatience. I was too hasty. Mr. Primus, I seek an answer from you. He glanced disdainfully at Xiao. Xiao Yunduan grasped Xiao's hands and spoke slowly, I am merely a humble boy from the countryside. I am unworthy of elder Miss Tian. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 972. Not worthy, I apologize. Butler Tian appeared to have trouble comprehending the words, as he failed to react promptly. What did you say? Say it again. Xiao Yunduan remained silent, gazing calmly at Butler Tian while tightly holding Xiao's hands. Butler Tian's eyes fixated on their intertwined hands, his sneer growing fiercer as his anger intensified. He felt that the Tian family had been humiliated. So, that's your decision? Mr. Primus, have you truly considered it thoroughly? I am unworthy. Heh. Butler Tian found the situation to be utterly laughable. Yes, he had never believed Xiao Yunduan was suitable, but it was not his place to make such a decision. Mr. Primus, you may not be foolish, but you have acted foolishly. Unfortunate couples often have regrets. Mr. Primus, do you not think that if you face a miserable life in the future, you will regret your choice today? By then, it will be too late for you to repent. Xiao Yunduan's expression remained unchanged. He smiled faintly. Thank you for the reminder, Butler Tian, but I am not fortunate enough to lead a life like that. He was unaware of what he had traded in for his conscience and social status. At the very least he couldn't find solace in it. Moreover, he had no intention of abandoning his wife. Good, very good. In that case, Mr. Primus, just wait and see. I hope you can sleep well tonight. Butler Tian sneered and departed without looking back. Xiao Yunduan narrowed his eyes and firmly held Qiao Xian's hands. Don't worry, after tomorrow we will lay everything bare and depart from the capital. Qiao Xian smiled and nodded in agreement. When Butler Tian returned to the mansion, Tian Shanshan was present at her parents' residence, adamantly refusing to leave. Dad, Mom, this is my marriage. I want to be part of the discussion too, she insisted. Officer Tian and Madame Tian acknowledged her intelligence and independent thinking, so they relented and included her in the conversation. Madame Tian's mood was jubilant as she asked, So, did Xiao Yunduan agree? Tian Shanshan's heart skipped a beat. She lacked the same confidence as her mother. If Xiao Yunduan had agreed, he wouldn't have gone out earlier in the day. She doubted the outcome would be favorable. Her suspicions were soon confirmed. Upon hearing Butler Tian's account, Officer Tian and his wife turned pale. How dare he humiliate the Tian family like this? Unworthy? He knows he is unworthy. What are we waiting for? Officer Tian fumed. He has brought shame upon the Tian family. Old master, do not allow him to remain in the capital. Send him to the most remote and destitute county infested with bandits. Let him serve as a poverty-stricken county magistrate for the remainder of his life. Only then will he comprehend that the Tian family is not to be trifled with, Madame Tian suggested vehemently. Officer Tian remained silent, a glint of murderous intent flickering in his eyes. But now was not the opportune moment. Aware of the consequences, Xiao Yunduan knew that as the Primus, if anything were to happen to him on the first day of the banquet, it would infuriate the emperor. However, he also realized that he would become a laughingstock at the upcoming event. Tian Shanshan, consumed by a profound sense of humiliation, rose from her seat and bowed to her parents. Then, without a word, she turned and left. She clenched her fists, her sharp nails digging into her palms. The pain, however, failed to distract her from her seething anger. She had lost. As the direct descendant of the Tian family, the niece of concubine Mei, and the most esteemed lineal daughter in the capital, she had been defeated by a lowly concubine's daughter. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 973. Reasonable Tian Shanshan regretted that she did not make the plan earlier. If she had started to work on it when they ran into each other in the pear garden, she could have guaranteed that it would not have turned out like this. Time was running out and there was little she could do right now to make it happen. She should have known that this handsome man would become the Primus, and she should not have hesitated. Tian Shanshan did not blame Xiao Yunduan. Instead, she liked her even more. She even believed that Xiao Yunduan was the man she was seeking to get. On the contrary, she hated Qiao Xian, whom she had never met before. She was just unreasonable. Tian Shanshan returned to her room and soon changed into a new set of clothes. She was going out. Fu's face changed. Miss, come with me. Tian Shanshan had always had her own ideas. She threw a look at Fu, who was so frightened that he did not dare to say anything to stop her. Xiao Yunduan and Qiao Xian had not expected that Tian Shanshan would come to their door personally so late at night. The two of them were talking about leaving the capital when they heard that someone came to visit them. They did not expect that it was Tian Shanshan and her maid. Qiao Xian already knew who Tian Shanshan was, when she was standing right in front of her. And she could tell that she hated him. Qiao Xian found it strange. She was the one who was thinking about her husband, and before she even started to do anything to her, she started to hate her. Xiao Yunduan was startled. He could tell who this man was. He could not help but feel disgusted. I am sorry for being presumptuous, but I don't think I will feel at ease if I don't show up like this. Tian Shanshan looked directly at Xiao Yunduan. I need to speak with you alone. Please. Xiao Yunduan did not go into the room. He nodded at Qiao Xian and walked a few steps away, intending to have a private talk with Tian Shanshan in the yard. Tian Shanshan felt suffocated. She knew that they did not welcome her, and that was the first time she had been unwelcomed since she was born. Fu snorted. You don't know how to be polite. Don't you know how to invite my miss into the room for a chat? Is that how you treat guests? Qiao Xian was thinking. You two girls are here at someone else's home in the middle of the night and you are talking with the host alone? You are definitely not the polite one? Xiao Yunduan ignored what Fu said, as did Qiao Xian. She was not going to avoid that. She was just standing right there. Fu felt a bit embarrassed. She threw a glare at Qiao Xian. Qiao Xian. She was throwing the look back at Xiao Yunduan. Tian Shanshan was proud and arrogant. She had used up almost all of her courage to come to the door. She was not going to ask Xiao Yunduan to let her in. You remember me? Xiao Yunduan nodded. Yes, I recognize you. For some reason, Tian Shanshan's heart skipped a beat and she felt tears welling up in her eyes. She turned to Xiao Yunduan with a wronged look. What is wrong with me? Why? Under the moonlight, the girl was standing right in front of him, looking so beautiful and pitiful. But Xiao Yunduan did not feel any pity towards her. What right did she have to ask this question? She knew what the Tian family had done. No matter how pitiful they looked, they could not change the nature of bullying people. Lady Tian, I am already married. Tian Shanshan sneered and said aggressively, What if you are not married? Are you willing to marry me? If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc. Please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 974. Unexpected. Tian Shanshan couldn't hide her disappointment as Xiao Yunduan gave his clear and resolute answer. She had hoped for a different response, but his words struck her like a thorn, piercing her heart deeply. Qiao Xian observed Tian Shanshan's intense focus and nervousness, sensing that she was anxiously awaiting Xiao Yunduan's decision. The situation felt tense, with Tian Shanshan's glaring gaze fixed on Xiao Yunduan. Xiao Yunduan, known for his cunning nature, understood the weight behind Tian Shanshan's question. The answer he gave would leave a lasting impact, impossible to shake off easily. However, Xiao Yunduan didn't hesitate to respond. His voice held conviction as he firmly stated, No. Tian Shanshan couldn't contain her frustration any longer and raised her voice. Why? Xiao Yunduan remained composed, his determination unwavering. That is not possible, Elder Miss Tian. Your question holds no meaning. I, Xiao Yunduan, will only marry Qiao Xian. Curiosity drove Tian Shanshan to probe further. What about in the next life? Xiao Yunduan's response reflected his belief. I won't have control over the next life. But if I could, I hope our destined connection would continue in this lifetime. Tian Shanshan found herself at a loss for words, overwhelmed with sadness and a sense of loss. It was the first time she experienced the disappointment of not getting what she desired. Tian Shanshan couldn't shake off the bitter taste that lingered in her heart. She never imagined that she would experience such emotions one day. It was clear to her now that this man, Xiao Yunduan, had left an indelible mark on her life. Pursing her lips with a mix of bitterness and resignation, Tian Shanshan cast a deep, meaningful look at Xiao Yunduan before turning away and leaving without looking back. She halted briefly as she passed by Qiao Xian, uttering words that hinted at a veiled threat, and then continued on her way. Qiao Xian maintained a calm demeanor as she watched Tian Shanshan's departure. The encounter left her contemplating the implications of that final statement. It carried an air of intimidation that sent a shiver down her spine. Sighing softly, Qiao Xian smiled at Xiao Yunduan. We won't have any unwanted guests tonight, will we? Xiao Yunduan smiled in return and approached Qiao Xian, gently taking her hands into his. Whether there are others present or not, nothing will change. Qiao Xian chuckled, reassured by his words. As long as you say that, I won't be bothered regardless of the circumstances. Xiao Yunduan let out a hearty laugh. I can't agree more. It's getting late, we should rest. All right. That night passed without any further disturbances. Both Xiao Yunduan and Qiao Xian found solace in each other's presence, their minds finally at ease as they drifted into a peaceful sleep. The next morning, dressed in the attire of a Primus from the Ministry of Rites, Xiao Yunduan prepared to attend the imperial palace for the banquet. The grandeur of the banquet in the midst of the imperial garden was enhanced by the vibrant blooming of centaurea flowers. The enchanting spring scenery added to the overall splendor of the event, creating a dazzling and pleasant atmosphere. As Xiao Yunduan made his entrance, the maids and eunuchs, under the guidance of the Ministry of Rites officials and administrators, were bustling about with their tasks. Many advanced scholars had already gathered, and the air was filled with a sense of camaraderie, whether they were familiar faces or strangers. They greeted each other warmly, striving to forge connections and establish friendships. In the future they would be colleagues, and fostering positive relationships was crucial. No one knew who among them would rise to prominence or require assistance down the line. It was wiser to maintain goodwill and amicability rather than fostering enmity. However, as Xiao Yunduan stepped into the imperial garden, A hush fell over the advanced scholars who had been engaged in lively conversations. All eyes were fixed on him, filled with various emotions: curiosity, avoidance, mockery, disdain, or even a somber demeanor. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 975. No regrets. The advanced scholars observed him intently, but none approached him. They merely smiled and nodded from a distance. By declining the Tian family's offer, he effectively severed his career prospects. His reputation would suffer greatly. Furthermore, befriending him meant going against the powerful Tian family, a risk no one was willing to take with their own future. It was fortunate that they refrained from kicking him when he was down. Most people regarded him as foolish. Some secretly admired his courage, yet they questioned the value of his actions. He should have been surrounded by admirers, greeted with laughter upon his arrival. Instead, he was shunned, receiving no acknowledgement or greetings. She pondered on his emotions and whether he regretted his decision. Xiao Yunduan, however, harbored no regrets. Regardless of others' treatment, he remained the Primus, unmatched by anyone else. Xiao Yunduan chose not to engage in the commotion. He found a seat and patiently awaited his tea. With no desires in her heart, she remained free from worries and concerns. Soon, Lu Min and Gu Zhio arrived together, exchanging greetings with everyone before joining Xiao Yunduan at his side. "Brother Xiao, why didn't you wait for us?" one of them exclaimed. "Yeah, we went to Brother Xiao's home and discovered he had already left," another added. Xiao Yunduan smiled. "I apologize, it's my fault. I will make it up to you, I promise." The three of them exchanged glances and burst into laughter. "Of course. We want stand-on ceremony with you, Brother Xiao." They then shifted their conversation to another topic. Xiao Yunduan hadn't invited them to accompany him because he didn't want to trouble them. They understood that their previous comments had made their position clear. Xiao Yunduan felt grateful. Their loyalty hadn't been in vain. Lu Min and Gu Zhio didn't consider it a big deal. They hailed from the same place as Xiao Yunduan and had always shared a good relationship. Even if the Tian family held a grudge and severed ties with Xiao Yunduan, they wouldn't let it affect their friendship. If the Tian family wasn't narrow-minded, they wouldn't mind continuing to spend time with Xiao Yunduan. After all, they were friends. So they decided to be open and candid as always, to avoid unnecessary complications. Gradually, all the advanced scholars arrived, including the second and third place winners, whose treatment stood in stark contrast to Xiao Yunduan's as the Primus. As the runner-up and third place winner entered, they received an abundance of flattery and warm greetings. However, both individuals were over 40 years old, with half of their hair already gray. They didn't possess the same level of attractiveness as Xiao Yunduan. Even though they received flattery from the crowd, a sense of regret lingered within them. Officer Tian and the other esteemed adults arrived shortly after. The advanced scholars held their breath and respectfully greeted them. Many eyes shifted towards Xiao Yunduan. Remaining composed, Xiao Yunduan greeted everyone without distinction. "If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Reports so we can fix it as soon as possible." Chapter 976. Eager Officer Tian cast a disdainful glance at Xiao Yunduan, a sneer playing on his lips. As long as the Tian family held power, Xiao Yunduan would never rise above. How audacious of him to attend the banquet after offending the Tian family. Officer Tian begrudgingly acknowledged that Xiao Yunduan stood out among the advanced scholars. It was no wonder his prideful daughter had developed feelings for him. But Xiao Yunduan was too foolish to comprehend the gravity of his actions, ensuring an unfavorable fate awaited him. One day he would regret his choices. As the time neared, a group of well-dressed eunuchs guided the advanced scholars to line up according to their rankings, first, second, and third. They followed the courtiers and knelt before the emperor as a gesture of respect. The advanced scholars couldn't help but feel a surge of excitement as they beheld the emperor's presence. It was a profound honor to witness the sky in such a manner. Accompanied by the crown prince, several princes, and distinguished scholars from the pavilion, Emperor Xian of Qi entered the imperial garden. His gaze fell upon the newly minted advanced scholars, kneeling before him. He beamed with joy. When the government admitted scholars, it injected fresh vitality into the court, ensuring a smooth transition of power. Each new examination held immense significance. Once the emperor settled in his seat, the ceremonial officer's voice rang out, and the advanced scholars and courtiers prostrated themselves. Long live the emperor! The cheers surged like a tsunami, resonating through the skies. Emperor Xian's face lit up with delight. He laughed heartily, instructing everyone to rise. He commended them and encouraged the scholars to devote themselves to the nation, shoulder the burdens of the imperial court, and work diligently for the well-being of the people under the Qin dynasty's rule. The newly inducted advanced scholars knelt once again and replied with resounding voices, their unified cheers filling the air. Their faces flushed with excitement, and their eyes sparkled with anticipation. The energy within them surged, their hearts yearning to become diligent officials who would work tirelessly for the country and its people, a gesture of gratitude towards the benevolent emperor. Emperor Xian's satisfaction grew, and he instructed the servants to serve wine and delicacies to the scholars. At such gatherings, poetry compositions were expected, serving as a means for courtiers to engage with the advanced scholars and familiarize themselves with one another. It was also an opportunity for the new scholars to showcase their talents. The advanced scholars brimmed with enthusiasm, eager to participate in this customary exhibition. This was the highly anticipated spectacle of every banquet, a lively, captivating display of talent. Following the announcement of the rankings, preparations commenced, and confidence ran high among the scholars. Some even harbored ambitions to surpass the competition with their prowess and secure the top spot. For her, it marked her first appearance before the emperor, a promising beginning. If she could please the emperor and elicit his approval with a simple good, the courtiers and officials would regard her in a new light, paving the way for a prosperous future. After 3 rounds of wine, the conversation shifted towards poetry. Under the guidance of the crown prince, other princes and ministers, Emperor Xian of Qi proposed a topic, requesting the scholars to exhibit their talents. Laughter subsided, and their minds began to contemplate, aiming to deliver an impressive speech that would etch their names in history. Emperor Xian was known for his affability, provided his own interests were not at stake. For instance, he sympathized with the advanced scholars, apprehensive that some might exploit the opportunity to criticize and provoke controversies. Hence, he decided to forego a specific format and instead invited the scholars to compose poems. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 977. Good. The advanced scholars reveled in their joy, having successfully advanced to the next level. Their spirits soared, and they sought an outlet to express their emotions. Poetry became the perfect medium through which they could convey their sentiments and determination, presenting a prime opportunity to showcase their loyalty to the emperor and the imperial court. A hush fell over the lively scene. Xiao Yunduan recited quietly, swiftly crafting a composition. As customary, the eunuchs collected the poems penned by the scholars and presented them to the accomplished senior scholars of the Hanlin Academy for preliminary evaluation. The most exceptional works were then selected, around 7 or 8, and transcribed. These copies were subsequently presented to the emperor, important ministers, and shared with all those present for appraisal. The masterpieces of the Primus, runner-up and third-place winner, however, were immediately presented to the emperor, with the 3 scholars themselves stepping forward to kneel and present their works. Jealousy and envy simmered among the other advanced scholars as they gazed upon the trio. All eyes were fixed on Xiao Yunduan. He was not only the Primus but also the youngest, and the scandal surrounding him and the Tian family's elder miss had attracted the most attention. The situation grew increasingly complex. Amidst the jealousy and envy, there were also individuals who relished the opportunity to mock and witness the unfolding drama. Yet Xiao Yunduan paid no heed to the commotion. Setting down his pen upon completion, he patiently awaited the summons. When the appointed time arrived, the ceremony supervisor relayed the message. Xiao Yunduan, along with the other 2 winners, rose to their feet, holding their works with reverent hands. They bowed respectfully, lifting their poems high above their heads, requesting the emperor's guidance and instruction. Emperor Xian graciously accepted the 3 works presented by the eunuch, his gaze lingering a little longer on the Primus and the other 2 winners. Compared to the 2nd and 3rd place winners, the Primus exuded an exceptional air of handsomeness and refinement. Contemplating the beautiful compositions he had penned and considering his youthful age, which promised many years of service to the country and the imperial court, the emperor's satisfaction grew. Recalling the Primus' humble origins in a farmer's family and the arduous journey he had undertaken to rise from a small village, Emperor Qian discerned the scholar's remarkable intelligence and diligence. With a gentle smile, Emperor Qian directed his attention towards Xiao Yunduan, further affirming his contentment. Observing this exchange, the other courtiers and advanced scholars who had been fixated on Xiao Yunduan felt a surge of complex emotions. Some became even more envious, secretly hoping that Officer Tian would be given a humbling lesson. Officer Tian sat with an upright posture, casting a cold gaze in Xiao Yunduan's direction, simmering with annoyance. Though he maintained a composed facade, internally he was writhing in discomfort, beset by embarrassment. The more amiable and satisfied Emperor Qian appeared towards Xiao Yunduan, the more ludicrous it made the Tian family and their daughter. Through this filter, Emperor Qian promptly expressed his opinion upon inspecting Xiao Yunduan's work. Excellent. He nodded with satisfaction, breaking into a joyful laughter. You, as my chosen Primus, possess exceptional talent. Come, let me share my thoughts on it. In truth, Emperor Qian himself was not particularly adept at poetry. He remained a layman in the art, able to discern between ordinary and good compositions, yet unable to distinguish the nuances of excellence. Nonetheless, he held a genuine fondness for his chosen Primus. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 978. Sweat. Xiao Yunduan was taken aback by the emperor's praise. He even questioned whether he was looking at his own work. He knew the true caliber of his composition. It was an ordinary piece, perhaps commendable in the eyes of average scholars, but among the esteemed gathering of scholars present, including many renowned and accomplished individuals, it should not have stood out. As the Primus, he understood that not all advanced scholars excelled in poetry. Thus, it was normal for the Primus to produce a more ordinary piece among such esteemed experts. No one would suspect his lack of talent. Therefore, he had felt little pressure while crafting this particular poem. Yet, he couldn't comprehend why the emperor had spoken so highly of it. Emperor Qian, in his praise, ordered his attendants to give the poem a closer look. What more could they do? Xiao Yunduan smiled and added a few more words of gratitude, all the while wondering if he was truly deserving of such accolades. After all, when the emperor commended them, the courtiers would undoubtedly follow suit. They were not as discerning as the emperor himself. The eunuch responsible for delivering the poetry also recited it to the other advanced scholars. Copies of the poem were distributed to the scholars as well. The expressions of the advanced scholars stiffened momentarily, exchanging glances with one another. They mustered forced smiles and joined the ministers in praising and admiring the work. That is an exceptional poem. No wonder he is the Primus. He is capable of producing such magnificent work. I am so lucky to have been able to read the masterpiece by the Primus. Look at the beginning of the story, it is totally out of the ordinary. Ordinary people would never have thought of this. I think that is the best idea. How did you get it? The Primus is so quick-witted. It is so good to use the words unclean and scarred moon in these two areas. Xiao Yunduan. Xiao Yunduan got so nervous. He, who had been calm and honest since he walked into the imperial garden, finally felt embarrassed and uncomfortable. He had no idea where to put her hands and how to place his feet. He sat there stiffly, not knowing whether to laugh or cry. That was such a terrible feeling. Hearing the compliments about Xiao Yunduan, Emperor Qian believed that his Primus was very good at making poems. Why were they speaking so sincerely? He laughed and said happily, "My Primus is so talented and handsome." The ministers and advanced scholar were speechless inwardly, but they all agreed with Xiao Yunduan. They spoke highly of Xiao Yunduan, saying that he was the best scholar in history, and that ordinary poem of his was one of the best poems in history. Xiao Yunduan could not stand that anymore. He got up, bowed and said, "Your Majesty, I am so ashamed, I don't deserve your praise." Emperor Qian laughed. "You are too modest, Primus. Not only are you advanced but you are also morally upright. I'm very glad." Xiao Yunduan said, Thanks." Why did he feel that the story was getting worse and worse? If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 979. Primus popularity. You're absolutely right, we are like a family. No need to be modest. Emperor Qian grew increasingly satisfied as he looked at Xiao Yunduan. He laughed and continued praising him, thoroughly pleased with his performance. Oh yes. Suddenly an idea crossed Emperor Qian's mind. He glanced at Officer Tian and smiled mischievously. Old Tian, didn't your daughter mention that she fancies one of my advanced scholars? Who has caught her interest? Bring her forth and let me see how she compares to the Primus. Upon hearing this, the Crown Prince furrowed his brow. His father had a habit of doing as he pleased, but this was a banquet at the Qiongling forest, and such remarks were undignified. He seemed to be deliberately setting up enemies for the Primus. If the Crown Prince hadn't known his father's nature, he might have suspected that his father had orchestrated this situation intentionally. First, he praised the Primus for his ordinary poem, and now he was provoking a public confrontation with Officer Tian's daughter. But the Crown Prince understood his father well. He lavished praise on the Primus and then turned to Officer Tian precisely because he had this plan in mind. However, it was inappropriate for him to bring it up. His father was too preoccupied with cultivating alongside Taoist Shangzhen and the other Taoist masters to pay much attention to external matters. He had no knowledge of the situation between the Primus and the Tian family. The Crown Prince had intended to address the issue between Officer Tian and the Primus after the banquet, to calm their tempers. But now his father had raised the matter once again. The Crown Prince felt as if he were about to faint. As expected, after Emperor Qian finished speaking, a strange silence descended upon the surroundings. Some people lowered their heads, fearing that the emperor would become angry and create a scene. Others couldn't help but suppress a secret smile, eagerly anticipating the unfolding drama. Some felt profound embarrassment on behalf of Xiao Yunduan. Emperor Qian sensed the tension in the air. What? He raised an eyebrow and chuckled. Old Tian, does your daughter really have a crush on my Primus? Aha, she certainly has good taste. Your Majesty, Xiao Yunduan interjected, bowing respectfully. I already have a wife, and I highly doubt that Elder Miss Tian would be interested in me. If such a rumor exists, it must have been spread mistakenly. Please, Your Majesty, allow me to clarify. Officer Tian snorted and cast a disdainful glance at Xiao Yunduan. The Crown Prince joined in, trying to defuse the awkward situation. The Primus is correct. He is already married, and this rumor seems to be a result of misinformation. Father, you may not be aware of the details. The Crown Prince proceeded to provide a brief explanation to Emperor Qian, carefully choosing his words to steer the narrative away from the rumor. It's all baseless gossip. This is utterly absurd and I don't even know where to begin. Finally, he added, Father, I implore you to help the Primus and Elder Miss Tian clear their names. Your Majesty, Officer Tian stood up and bowed respectfully. I apologize for saying this, but my daughter lacks good judgment. She didn't make it as an advanced scholar, which greatly disappointed me. I forbade her from discussing such matters further, yet somehow these ludicrous rumors have surfaced. It's truly ridiculous. I am confident that the rumor will fade away soon. Primus, please disregard it. Upon hearing this, Emperor Qian's eyes gleamed with understanding. He exchanged a knowing glance with the Crown Prince and Officer Tian, comprehending the situation clearly. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 980. Peace. Having been emperor for over 40 years and now at the age of 64, Emperor Qian had weathered countless storms throughout his reign. He had witnessed all sorts of rumors and scandals. If the rumor had gained traction, it meant that there was some truth behind it. While spreading rumors about the Primus might not be too scandalous, spreading rumors about the Tian family's elder miss would be a great humiliation for them. However, the fact that even the Crown Prince was aware of the rumor indicated that it had likely spread throughout the city. The Tian family's reputation would be greatly tarnished if the rumor persisted. Emperor Qian found the whole situation intriguing. After all, he had appointed the Primus of the new cohort, and he knew that the Primus remained loyal to his wife. His decision had been correct. Emperor Qian understood that not everyone could resist the influence of the Tian family. It was not surprising that they had severed ties with the Primus and arranged a new marriage for him. The Tian family might have been unfortunate, but they couldn't blame the Primus for their own misfortune. While he believed that the Tian family had brought this upon themselves, Emperor Qian acknowledged their status and prestige. The elder miss of the Tian family was the niece of the imperial concubine and often paid visits to the palace. He had interacted with her before and recognized her intelligence. She displayed a touch of arrogance, but such demeanor was expected from a noble lady in the capital. He quite liked that young woman. Yet he couldn't help but feel a sense of sadness for her. Emperor Qian decided against pressing for the truth, as doing so would only bring humiliation upon the Tian family. Instead he spoke out against the rumor. This is preposterous. How dare they spread such false information? It is unfair to both the Primus and the Tian family. Qin Sheng, present a jade ornament to Mr. Primus and a golden hairpin to the Tian family's young lady, he commanded, wanting to show his support and respect for them. Yes, your majesty. Qin Sheng promptly acknowledged the order and instructed his men to bring the requested rewards. Xiao Yunduan and Officer Tian stepped forward and kowtowed, expressing their deep gratitude. Emperor Qian smiled warmly and directed the couple to drink a cup of wine in front of him. This is all my fault and your families have been affected as well. Drink this cup of wine in my presence and let us forget about this incident. We are all officials serving the court, and it is crucial that we foster harmony and work together for the greater good. Yes, your majesty. I will always keep your words in mind, and I will never disappoint you. Xiao Yunduan vowed sincerely. Your teachings shall be engraved in my heart, your majesty, Officer Tian added respectfully. With their wine glasses in hand, the two exchanged a meaningful glance, clinked their glasses together, and downed the wine in one swift gulp. Xiao Yunduan understood that he would not be leaving the capital. Instead he would be joining Hanlin Academy. Officer Tian also grasped the situation. For the time being he would refrain from causing trouble for Xiao Yunduan and treat him amicably on the surface. Both of them, grateful for the emperor's leniency, were left with no room to voice any objections. The consolation bestowed upon Shanshan by Emperor Qian further ensured that no one would dare challenge the situation. However, Shanshan's prospects for finding a good suitor in the next couple of years were dim. All because of Xiao Yunduan. Officer Tian was in no rush. He would make Xiao Yunduan pay for his actions. Keeping him within the capital would allow for easier monitoring and manipulation. Xiao Yunduan had become an eyesore, but Officer Tian was determined to make him regret his deeds. No one would escape unscathed after humiliating the Tian family. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc. Please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 981. Staying in the capital, the advanced scholars who had eagerly anticipated witnessing Xiao Yunduan's downfall were left disappointed. How fortunate this man was. He had never expected that both the Crown Prince and the Emperor would shield him from disaster so effortlessly. With the Emperor and Crown Prince intervening, no one would dare to bring up the matter again. To do so would be challenging the authority of the Emperor and the Crown Prince themselves. Observing Officer Tian and Xiao Yunduan drinking together, Emperor Qian chuckled and nodded approvingly, effectively reinvigorating the atmosphere. The scene became lively once more. They continued to revel in the enjoyment of poetry, the rewards bestowed by Emperor Qian, and the camaraderie among the advanced scholars. It was a delightful experience that lasted for half a day before everyone departed from the imperial garden. As they bid their farewells, several of Xiao Yunduan's classmates, apart from Lu Min and Gu Zhio, approached him and exchanged pleasantries. Xiao Yunduan maintained a composed demeanor, responding politely to their greetings. Such was the way of the world. Most individuals possessed an innate instinct to seek advantages and avoid disadvantages. He did not hold their swift change in attitude against them. However, he recognized that true feelings were revealed during times of trouble. While they exchanged greetings and pleasantries, he did not consider them genuine friends. Lu Min and Gu Zhio were genuinely overjoyed for Xiao Yunduan. They held great admiration for his talent, and with Xiao Yunduan by their side, they unconsciously felt a sense of security, as if they had found a pillar of support. With the crisis now averted, the Tian family would likely let the matter go. Thus, the two of them breathed a sigh of relief. Accompanying Xiao Yunduan on his way home, Lu Min and Gu Zhi's presence startled Qiao Xian upon seeing them together. Lu Min and Gu Zhio were bursting with excitement, their eyes shining as they eagerly recounted Xiao Yunduan's triumph at the banquet and how the Tian family had been saved. Qiao Xian turned to Xiao Yunduan, his curiosity piqued. With a smile, Xiao Yunduan nodded and handed her the jade. The Emperor presented this to me. Keep it safe. This jade ruby held significance beyond being a gift from the emperor. It could serve as a reminder to those who dared to bother them that they had the means to defend themselves. Qiao Xian carefully opened the brocade box, revealing a long white jade ruby nestled on the bright yellow satin. The jade was elegant and beautiful, intricately carved with auspicious clouds, grass and Ganoderma lucidums, exuding exquisite craftsmanship. It was truly a priceless treasure. Qiao Xian smiled, feeling fortunate. I am truly blessed today. This jade ruby is a magnificent gift from the emperor. Lu Min chimed in, grinning. Brother Xiao, with your talent and the emperor's high regard for you, I'm afraid you'll receive even more rewards in the future. Gu Zhio chuckled, adding, Indeed, ha. They all laughed merrily. With the crisis resolved, the tension dissipated, and Lu Min and Xiao Yunduan had much more to discuss. The three of them headed to the study together. Qiao Xian instructed Li Qiao and Li Xia to purchase ingredients for dinner, ensuring they would have a meal before returning home. As Lu Min and Gu Zhio bid farewell and left the Xiao family's premises, darkness descended, and the vibrant hues of the sunset faded away. Qiao Xian was trimming a cluster of rhododendrons in the courtyard, while Xiao Yunduan observed from the sidelines. Darling, you can't simply abandon your position, can you? Qiao Xian voiced his concerns. Understanding the implications, Xiao Yunduan nodded. Indeed, I will likely have to remain in the capital. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 982. Qiao Xian's bet. The emperor held such a high opinion of him that he remained oblivious to the unfolding events. However, by doing so, the Ministry of Personnel would never force him to leave the capital. My dear, I will seize an opportunity to suggest paying respects to our ancestors, and then, Xiao Yunduan smiled bitterly, his determination apparent. You can stay in the village once we return. Their household was well stocked, and the bustling province was within close reach, allowing her to acquire anything she desired. Her family treated her kindly, ensuring she was not mistreated in his absence. County Magistrate Qiao would soon depart for the capital, and the incoming county magistrate would likely avoid causing them trouble, as long as they acted sensibly. The odds of convenience were even higher. She envisioned a life of freedom and happiness back home. Qiao Xian was taken aback. Living in the village, she lacked nothing. The family was harmonious, and she had the freedom to explore the mountains and the town whenever she pleased. It was an idyllic pastoral life she had always dreamed of. It couldn't be more perfect. However, that was no longer what she desired. You want to separate from me? That's not what I meant. You're right. Qiao Xian's expression turned sorrowful and distressed. You achieved the highest position and received recognition from the emperor, yet you still wish to remain a government official in the capital. You want to cast me aside and pursue a contented life in the city. Perhaps you will take on concubines one after another. In a few years, I will bear children for other concubines as well. Qiao Xian had been teasing him, but as she spoke, a tinge of sadness crept into her voice. Tears welled up in her eyes. It was true. As the saying goes, husbands who are separated by 1,000 miles might as well be strangers. They were thousands of miles apart, and the capital city was so enchanting. No matter how pure-hearted and devoted he was, he would inevitably be influenced by the passage of time and the vast, ever-changing environment. Qiao Xian didn't want to take that risk, and she couldn't bear the consequences. She wasn't being overly suspicious. She believed in trusting him, but she knew it wouldn't be that simple. Humans were social creatures, susceptible to their surroundings. Many people clung to their initial intentions, but over time they changed. That change wasn't solely because of him, but also due to the environment. Being by his side or not made a world of difference. He understood his own intentions when he suggested she return to her hometown. He was worried she would face hardships or mistreatment in the bustling city, but she had no intention of staying in the village. She possessed extraordinary abilities that could protect her, and no one could easily harm her. Even without those abilities, she wouldn't leave. Xiao Yunduan was alarmed by Qiao Xian's words. Anxiously, he tried to explain, No, my love, you've misunderstood me. That's not what I meant. That's exactly what you're implying. No, I'm just concerned about your well-being. So, I shouldn't feel hurt when you take on a concubine? I don't have any concubines. What about in the future? There won't be any. You'll be thousands of miles away and I won't be able to see you either, right? What if someone tries to woo you? What if the emperor insists on assigning someone to attend to you? Xiao Yunduan found himself torn between laughter and tears. Absolutely not. The emperor is far too occupied to meddle in such matters. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 983, Staying in the Capital, What If It Does? Xiao Yunduan. My love, you enjoy arguing, don't you? You're pushing me away and not allowing me to voice my concerns? No, I'm not pushing you away. Xiao Yunduan was completely thrown off track by Qiao Xian's persistent questioning. He sighed, caught between laughter and tears. But I am genuinely worried about your well-being in the capital, Qiao Xian spoke softly, but you're not concerned about me when I'm not in the capital? Xiao Yunduan was taken aback. You don't want to see me after so many years? Annoyance flashed across Xiao Yunduan's face. I want to stay in the capital. Xiao Yunduan smiled as he looked at Qiao Xian. All right, let's stay together here. Qiao Xian smiled, tears still lingering. Don't worry, the Tian family has little connection with us and we might cross paths again soon. The Tian family doesn't care about someone like me, a concubine's daughter who knows little. But you, as an officer in the court with ties to the Tian family and many acquaintances in the court, you need to be cautious. I may not be able to assist you in other matters, but I can provide you with a peaceful home to rest in. Isn't that wonderful? Xiao Yunduan felt warmth spreading through his heart. He smiled. Who says you know nothing? You're absolutely right. I'm not afraid to resign, and I don't care about political intrigues. I can simply give up my position. Let's stay in the capital for as long as we can. Qiao Xian smiled in return. Qiao Xian appreciated his words, even though they seemed pointless and lacking motivation. Upon reaching an agreement, they felt a sense of relief and relaxation with reduced conflict. This was why it was said that those who lacked desire should remain strong. As long as he didn't exploit the Tian family, they had nothing to threaten him with. After the banquet, the prestige of the advanced scholar came to an end. As scholars, they had successfully and gloriously completed their journey. What awaited them next was another path to becoming an official. How well they fared on this journey was uncertain. Though each person had different qualifications to become an advanced scholar, they all started from the same point. In 10 or 20 years, who knew what would transpire? Perhaps the Primus would take no action, or the advanced scholar would rise to become a top-ranking officer. Such possibilities existed. They were both anxious and eager for the future, yet they silently swore not to become the most conspicuous individuals. Xiao Yunduan had already resolved not to dwell too much on this. He remained composed. Observing the scene, he suddenly noticed a distinction. When the Ministry of Personnel made the appointments, the positions were allocated one by one. In the capital, there remained a total of 46 individuals, dispersed across the 6 departments, Hanlin Academy and various other locations. Naturally, the newcomers who had recently been recruited held positions at the 9th or 8th grade, with the highest being 7th grade. Their starting point could not be any higher. As for the rest of the group, they were dispatched as local officials throughout the country. The distinction lay in the fact that some were stationed in Jiangnan, the Central Plain, or the remote southern regions, while others were assigned to the bitterly cold and harsh territories in the northwest. This contrast was even more pronounced than those who remained in the intermediate locations. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 984. Careful, the differences extended beyond just the environment. The level of attention from the imperial court, the potential for greater achievements, and the speed of promotion varied greatly among the different locations. Xiao Yunduan caught the attention of Emperor Xian, which made the Ministry of Personnel hesitant to transfer him. He held a 7th-rank position at Hanlin Academy. Officer Tian secretly hoped that he could be assigned a more fortunate position, but he felt too embarrassed to act upon such desires. As a result, he could only grant Xiao Yunduan a 7th-rank editing position. However, Officer Tian did not approve of Xiao Yunduan's friends. Lu Min was dispatched to Fujian, while Gu Zhio was sent to a cold and remote place in the northwest. These locations were underdeveloped and challenging environments, ones that most people avoided and tried to steer clear of. Xiao Yunduan felt a deep sense of guilt and even treated them to a meal, burdened by his conscience. Lu Min and Gu Zhiyou were not particularly content either. Especially after the appointments were announced, some individuals made sarcastic remarks about Xiao Yunduan, further fueling their annoyance. Yet, they did not hold Xiao Yunduan responsible for their circumstances. "Brother Xiao, that's an order from the imperial court. It has nothing to do with you," Lu Min remarked. "Yeah, we're at the bottom of the rankings and lack connections, so we never expected to receive favorable positions. It's all within our expectations," Gu Zhiyou added. "Haha, no matter what, Xiao Yunduan has become a government official. He excelled in his studies and lives up to his ancestors. That's something to be proud of," another friend chimed in. "Indeed, who knows what the future holds? Being away from the capital might actually be a good thing." "I'm curious about the scenery in the south," Lu Min pondered. "Haha, I think the north has its own interesting aspects too. But Xiao Yunduan, you're headed to advanced mountains and rivers, and we're uncertain when we'll meet again. People in the intermediate positions can be quite treacherous and you're a bit different. Be cautious in the future," Gu Zhiyou advised. "Absolutely. Brother Xiao, please take care." They expressed their concern sincerely. Xiao Yunduan felt immense gratitude and nodded, engaging in a brief exchange of words with them. After their gathering, they were set to depart the following day. A long journey awaited them. Upon finishing the meal, Xiao Yunduan retrieved 2 envelopes and placed them in front of Lu Min and Gu Zhiyou, speaking earnestly. "There's 500 liang in each envelope, totaling 20,000 liang. Please don't refuse it. You'll definitely need it in your new locations. We're friends, so don't worry about it. If you feel guilty, you can always return it to me later." Both Lu Min and Gu Zhiyou were taken aback. "Brother Xiao, isn't this too much?" they exclaimed. Though they were able to sustain their studies and had a decent family background, they were only well off within their local province. By living frugally, they could earn around 20 or 30 taels annually. For them, 20,000 liang was an enormous sum. Xiao Yunduan smiled warmly. "We won't know the extent of our needs until we're in our respective positions. It's always good to have some for self-protection. Consider it a gift from me and your sister-in-law, and please don't turn it down." Moved by his kindness, they gratefully accepted the 2 envelopes. "Brother Xiao, thank you so much. We'll all live well and we'll meet again in the future. Take care, Brother Xiao." "You too." Qiao Xian also handed each of them a cloth bag, each containing 5 potatoes. "If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible." Chapter 985, Future. This is a yam from the west. It seems quite rare. When you bring it to your new locations, cut the seeds into pieces and plant them like regular yams. They might grow well, Qiao Xian explained. Since it's called yam, it should be similar to what we have. You can steam, stir-fry or cook it. I'm not sure about the taste, but the ingredients should be good. Take it with you as a keepsake, Qiao Xian suggested. Qiao Xian had pondered for a while before deciding to share the seeds with each of them. Given the stinginess of the Tian family and the remote and impoverished location they were assigned, the local residents struggled with year-round starvation and a difficult existence. Potatoes were a high-yielding crop that thrived in various types of soil. If they discovered this when planting them in the current year, it would naturally lead to promotion. With Qiao Xian's superpower-enhanced seeds, they would likely be more resistant to pests and environmental challenges, resulting in a bountiful harvest. Even if they had just a few seeds, they could ignite a significant change. Moreover, being in the south might provide an opportunity to find more potatoes. Lu Min would be in Fujian and might be able to obtain additional potatoes for planting. Regardless, Qiao Xian had already provided assistance when it was needed. What unfolded in the future would depend on their luck. By spreading potatoes locally, the residents wouldn't need to worry about lacking promotion and would have a more promising future. However, Qiao Xian couldn't explicitly explain the benefits of potatoes. It was something she couldn't articulate. Xiao Yunduan grinned. "Take all of it. It's your sister-in-law's precious treasure and she keeps it personally. No one else is allowed to touch it." Laughter filled the air. Lu Min and Gu Zhiyou expressed their gratitude to Qiao Xian. Qiao Xian continued to remind them and they nodded in acknowledgement. As they departed, Xiao Yunduan expressed his gratitude to Qiao Xian. "Thank you for your generosity. Without Qiao Xian he wouldn't have received such a significant sum of money." Qiao Xian smiled and replied, "My husband and I are one. You don't have to treat me as an outsider." "No, I truly appreciate your help," Xiao Yunduan insisted. You're welcome. They exchanged smiles. In truth, without Xiao Yunduan and the Tian family's assistance, Qiao Xian would have struggled to survive in this world, despite her superpower. She couldn't reveal her abilities to others as it would only invite trouble. In the eyes of the world, she was merely a vulnerable woman. Making money wasn't easy, and even if she accumulated wealth, it would attract endless trouble and unwanted attention. It was quite bothersome. The only alternative would be to hide away in remote mountains and forests, but that would be dreadfully dull. Only when they were together could they truly enjoy themselves and experience life to the fullest. Money held little significance for Qiao Xian. With her skills, she could easily earn money whenever needed. After bidding farewell to Lu Min and the others, the remaining classmates departed from the capital and commenced their respective work assignments. Those assigned to positions in the capital reported to their respective governmental offices. Xiao Yunduan too was assigned to Hanlin Academy. Although no one dared to gossip openly about him and the elder miss anymore, he still faced exclusion from his peers. After all, it was widely known that the Tian family and the elder miss had suffered humiliation. The Tian family would never let Xiao Yunduan off the hook. Their actions were merely an attempt to save face. They eagerly anticipated Xiao Yunduan's downfall, convinced that his luck as an officer was about to run out. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 986. Hanlin Academy. No one dared to approach him at this moment. The incidents involving Lu Min and Gu Zhiyou had left a lasting impression on everyone. However, the Tian family refrained from commenting or making things difficult for Xiao Yunduan. They simply maintained a distance from him as if he were invisible. Each individual prioritized their own future and avoided any involvement. Hongxi felt increasingly irritated. He had never anticipated becoming so closely associated with Xiao Yunduan. Initially, he had planned to manipulate others into harassing and humiliating Xiao Yunduan, eager to witness his downfall. After all, he was determined not to let Xiao Yunduan enjoy a good life. But now he didn't dare to. Yes, he lacked the courage. However, the memory of the 4,000 liang he owed Xiao Yunduan and Qiao Xian, along with the words inscribed on that piece of paper, silenced any complaints he might have had. The couple were unpredictable. What if they were compelled to expose the secret publicly? The humiliation would be unbearable. Consequently, Hongxi had no choice but to avoid Xiao Yunduan. Even if he accidentally encountered him, he would lower his head and pretend not to notice. Unfortunately, news of their connection reached the ears of others soon enough. Concerned individuals began questioning why Hongxi wasn't seen with Xiao Yunduan. Your sister is married to editor Xiao, making you his brother-in-law, right? Congratulations, brother Qiao, you now have a prestigious son-in-law. Indeed, brother Qiao, why don't you spend time with him? It's strange to see such distance between you two. Hongxi grew increasingly frustrated as he witnessed others either teasing him out of curiosity or plotting something malicious. Internally, he cursed at the absurdity of being judged for being a brother-in-law. After all, Qiao Xian was just the daughter of a concubine. Did anyone have close relationships with their concubine's siblings? However, he couldn't express these thoughts aloud. Hongxi had no choice but to avoid discussing the matter. When he couldn't bear it any longer, he resorted to making vague comments to discredit Xiao Yunduan and shift blame onto him. He insinuated that Xiao Yunduan looked down on the Qiao family because of his position as Primus and lacked respect for them. Upon hearing these rumors, Xiao Yunduan simply smiled and ignored them. If someone was curious enough to approach him, he could only sigh and claim his innocence. Regardless of the inquiries, he would shake his head and remain tight-lipped. He had the support of the senior members of the Qiao family, including Qiao Xian and Qiao Hongxi. What did he have to fear? No matter how hard Qiao Hongxi tried to discredit him, as long as he possessed that leverage, Qiao Hongxi would never dare to cause any trouble. Xiao Yunduan secretly wished that Qiao Hongxi would intensify his discrediting attempts, making the situation appear even worse. It would only amplify the humiliation. Clearly, Qiao Hongxi wasn't particularly clever. After all, he and the Qiao family were holding something over Xiao Yunduan, forcing him to remain subdued. Unfortunately, Xiao Yunduan's words proved ineffective, and the rumors spread even further. Furthermore, certain individuals sought to ingratiate themselves with the Tian family, fueling the situation. Surprisingly, The person who relentlessly attacked Xiao Yunduan was unexpectedly promoted to a vacancy at the Hanlin Academy. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 987. Impeachment. To the man's astonishment, he was not only surprised but also delighted. The news caused a commotion among the members of the Hanlin Academy. Everyone there knew all too well that he was not supposed to be promoted this time. In a world filled with intelligent individuals, it became clear to them what had transpired. It was the doing of the Tian family. Officer Tian must have intervened and influenced the decision. Indeed, the Tian family showed no signs of relenting in their pursuit to keep Xiao Yunduan under their control. Others deeply regretted their actions. They had missed a golden opportunity. They lacked the courage to take advantage of such a foolish situation. But now it was too late. If the Tian family wished to see Xiao Yunduan suffer, they would oblige and curry favor with the Tian family. Thus, Xiao Yunduan was burdened with a highly challenging task. He chose not to retaliate and accepted all the responsibilities placed upon him. Someone knowledgeable from the censorate even suggested that Xiao Yunduan should face impeachment. They accused him of being immoral, disrespectful to his elders, rebellious, and treacherous. They argued that he brought disgrace upon all scholars and failed to live up to the emperor's expectations. They claimed he was unfit to hold any official position. Since revealing the involvement of the Tian family was not an option, they seized upon the Qiao family, turning it into an issue. The individual leading the impeachment believed they had found the perfect avenue and took great pride in their discovery. For scholars, possessing both morality and talent was of utmost importance. Once they were accused of immorality, their lives would be utterly ruined. Even the most revered scholar could fall from the heights of acclaim to the depths of despair overnight, let alone the Primus. Secretly, countless individuals were observing the unfolding drama. Normally, the appointment of a junior editor at the Hanlin Academy would not garner the attention of courtiers. Frankly, no one would be so idle as to impeach a minor editor. However, the situation changed when the Tian family became involved. Certain ministers felt that the Tian family was exerting undue influence. After all, it was the Tian family's own mistake for hiring Xiao Yunduan as their son-in-law. What did that have to do with editor Xiao? On the contrary, Xiao Yunduan's refusal to abandon his wife, even if it meant compromising his own future, was quite admirable. The emperor personally intervened, and Officer Tian even shared a drink with editor Xiao in the presence of the emperor, declaring that they should let it go. However, less than 20 days had passed. Now it was time to settle the score. Officer Tian was too arrogant, thinking he would not face any consequences when the Tian family had no involvement in this matter. They would see what the emperor thought of all this. But Xiao Yunduan had been waiting for this moment. What was the point of engaging in a minor dispute within the Hanlin Academy? At most, they would receive a scolding from the officials. It was not as thrilling as appearing in court. Thus, by severing ties with the Qiao family, the Tian family could maintain a clearer perspective. After this incident, the Tian family would think twice before attempting any cheap shots or tricks in the near future. Xiao Yunduan had to give them credit for that. Xiao Yunduan's impeachment left Emperor Qian feeling deeply displeased. The emperor held a favorable opinion of his newly appointed Primus. This young man possessed talent, and his rise from a humble background to the position of Primus was no easy feat. He exhibited diligence and even after achieving success, did not succumb to greed for wealth and power. Furthermore, he remained steadfastly loyal to his wife. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 988. Xiao Yunduan was a man who adhered to principles and morality. He would not engage in any actions that went against his principles. Emperor Qian had a temperament that could swing between broad-mindedness and narrow-mindedness, depending on his mood and circumstances. When in a good mood, he could easily dismiss offenses and let them slide. However, if he happened to be in an unfavorable state, he could unleash consequences that were detrimental to the offender. In essence, Emperor Qian possessed the power to act as he pleased, and his moodiness was well known. Nevertheless, he was also highly intelligent. One would be wise not to attempt any deceit or manipulation in his presence, as the repercussions would be unbearable for anyone involved. Emperor Qian held a favorable impression of Xiao Yunduan. In fact, he sent someone to gather information about the situation between Xiao Yunduan and the Tian family. As a result, he sympathized with Xiao Yunduan, considering him a pitiable man. However, the fact that Xiao Yunduan was impeached by the censor within less than 20 days of joining the Hanlin Academy led Emperor Qian to doubt that the Tian family had no involvement. What was the motive behind the Tian family's actions? What did old Tian mean? He had assured the emperor that the matter was resolved, even sharing a drink with Editor Xiao in his presence as a means to reconcile and seek revenge with a smile? Emperor Qian did not appreciate being disregarded as the emperor. Furthermore, he was intensely curious about the conflict between Xiao Yunduan and the Tian family, prompting him to delve into the details of Xiao Yunduan's connection with the Qiao family. He even made a copy of the letter of severance. The contents of the memorial that Xiao Yunduan had been informed of were strikingly similar to what was written in the severance letter. However, Xiao Yunduan and Qiao Xian had been coerced into signing the contract, despite its unfavorable terms. No one would willingly accept something that was detrimental to their own interests. The Qiao family's behavior was utterly domineering. They were simply bullying Xiao Yunduan, a recommended individual with no notable prospects, and Qiao Xian, a daughter of a concubine, as if they believed the two were powerless. On the occasion of their only visit to the Qiao family, as Qiao Xian departed, she received a slap across the face. Many onlookers witnessed her tearfully seeking solace in Xiao Yunduan's arms at the entrance of the Qiao family. Yet, the Qiao family shamelessly claimed that it was the couple who had instigated the confrontation. Such an assertion was preposterous. That was the Qiao family's account. Surely no one else would believe such a fabrication, right? Little did they anticipate that Xiao Yunduan would eventually become the Primus and join the prestigious Hanlin Academy. Qiao Hongxi proved to be the most vexatious of all. He was well aware of the truth, yet he persisted in discrediting Xiao Yunduan. Conversely, Xiao Yunduan remained an honest and well-mannered man. He could only defend himself with a bitter smile and a sigh, insisting on his innocence and refraining from speaking ill of the Qiao family. That was an act of great benevolence. If that gesture didn't suffice, what more could be expected of them? How dare they question Xiao Yunduan's morality? It was utterly absurd. Emperor Qian formulated some conjectures based on the information he had gathered. Xiao Yunduan didn't need to explain anything further. The emperor had already grasped the situation clearly. Feeling that he, as the Primus, had been unjustly treated, Emperor Qian resolved to defend him. Old Tian, that wretched scoundrel, had caused quite a commotion this time. Consequently, the next morning, Emperor Qian of Qi, who had been absent from court for at least half a month and was under the supervision of the crown prince, with the assistance of the second, third, and fourth princes, attended court. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 989, Emperor Qian's Anger? Additionally, Emperor Qian pointed to the memorial and ordered someone to summon strategist Xiao from the Hanlin Academy. He intended to personally interrogate him. Officer Tian and his associates felt a pang of unease, their hearts skipping a beat. The fact that the emperor said please indicated that the Primus held significant importance to him. They were all perplexed. Emperor Qian had been in power for over 40 years, and a new Primus was appointed every 3 years. It was nothing out of the ordinary. True, this young man was handsome and people naturally paid attention to him, but what was the purpose behind all of this? They had assumed that the emperor would harbor disdain for Xiao Yunduan and strip him of his position. However, now he was planning to personally interrogate him. Ministers who had a cordial relationship with Officer Tian couldn't help but reproach him for his pettiness. They had already let the matter go, so why did he continue to bear a grudge? As a first-class officer of the imperial court, he had made a mistake due to his family's actions. Yet, the emperor had attempted to reconcile the situation, but Officer Tian persisted, incessantly harassing Editor Xiao. How narrow-minded he was. Others became even more cautious. The Tian family's pettiness served as a warning to tread carefully when forming alliances with them in the future. Who knew when they might unintentionally offend them and incur their lasting enmity? Xiao Yunduan arrived at the court and gracefully performed a kowtow. Emperor Qian couldn't help but feel a sense of satisfaction upon witnessing this. Just as Xiao Yunduan stood up, Censor Lu glared at him and snapped. Xiao Yunduan, your immorality, disrespect towards your elders and lack of decorum are an affront to all scholars. Confess now and seek the emperor's forgiveness, or else you shall persist in your obstinacy. How dare you? Emperor Qian erupted in fury. He seized one of the memorials and hurled it towards Censor Liu's head, shouting, I haven't uttered a word, yet you have the audacity to flaunt your authority. I specifically stated that I would personally conduct the interrogation, and now you seek to pronounce judgment. Who do you think you are? How dare you override me? The courtiers were left in a state of shock, their heads bowed low and their breath held in anticipation. Censor Liu was taken aback, his mind reeling and his face drained of color. Cold sweat drenched his back. Your Majesty. Censor Liu collapsed to the ground, his voice trembling. I don't dare. I am innocent. I simply couldn't bear what he and Editor Qiao were doing. I couldn't bear it any longer. That's why I spoke up. Your Majesty, please? You're lying. Emperor Qian remained unmoved by his explanation. He delivered a fierce kick to Censor Liu and sneered. You're merely bullying him because he is young and inexperienced. You're trying to intimidate him into admitting fault without offering a defense. Do you think him a fool? You must have a death wish to play such a petty trick in front of me. Your Majesty, I beg you, I would never dare. Censor Liu nearly crumpled to the ground. Fear had rendered his voice hoarse and trembling. He continued to kowtow, the resounding thuds echoing through the silent throne room. The courtiers were seasoned political players, adept at reading between the lines. Censor Liu's intention had been to catch Xiao Yunduan off guard by attacking him before he could gather his bearings. However, the emperor saw through his scheme, laying it bare for all to witness. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 990, Thunder. He had publicly humiliated him. The courtiers were all reminded of a crucial fact. Emperor Qian's temperament was mercurial, and when he turned malicious, he spared no one's dignity. Emperor Qian remained unmoved, a cold sneer on his lips. Silence. I have no desire to hear any more of your nonsense. My court will not tolerate heretics, evildoers, and despicable individuals like you. Men, remove his black hat, strip him of his official attire, and escort him out of the Golden Throne Hall. Censor Liu felt as if he had been struck by lightning. Your Majesty, he had intended to plead for mercy, but upon seeing the icy glare in Emperor Qian's eyes, he dared not utter a word. If he said anything more, the emperor would surely reprimand him for his lack of insight. His entire body went limp as he was dragged out of the chamber. Officer Tian felt as though he had been slapped across the face, the sting of humiliation searing through him. But what tormented him even more was the necessity to feign indifference, to act as though nothing had occurred. For he knew that to react would only deepen the humiliation. Officer Qiao, fear not. I am no tyrant, but I cannot abide those with wicked intentions attempting to deceive me. Emperor Qian turned to Xiao Yunduan, adopting a friendly tone. He gestured for the eunuch to present the memorial to Xiao Yunduan. If there is anything else you wish to convey, speak freely, and I shall make a fair judgment. Thank you for your benevolence, Emperor. Xiao Yunduan bowed respectfully, then rose to accept the document. The situation was progressing better than he had anticipated. Xiao Yunduan sighed ruefully as he recounted the events of his visit to the Qiao family with his wife, which resulted in their expulsion and his wife being subjected to physical abuse. He continued, I possess evidence in the form of a severance letter written by the Qiao family, formally disowning their relationship with both me and Miss Qiao. However, as they are her family, I could not bring myself to reveal the truth. I had hoped to clear my name, but instead, matters have escalated, and the emperor has been alerted. This is entirely my fault. The ministers were taken aback while Officer Tian seethed with anger. Why did you not produce the severance letter earlier? It could have spared us much trouble. Xiao Yunduan requested that Officer Tian retrieve the severance letter from his residence. Emperor Qian sneered. There is no need. I am already aware of what transpired within the Qiao family. Fearing that you would approach them for financial support, they wrote the severance letter to belittle you. Now that you have risen to the position of Primus, they are envious and seek to tarnish your reputation. How despicable. I recognize the injustice you have suffered in this affair. Xiao Yunduan remained silent, processing the emperor's words. Thank you for your consideration, Your Majesty, he finally responded. Emperor Qian let out a sigh. As the new Primus, if anyone dares to unjustly humiliate you, you have the right to seek support from the Crown Prince or the other princes. Let's see who would dare to act against you. It was absurd to think that his newly appointed Primus would be subjected to bullying without any support. Emperor Qian found the notion preposterous. Thank you for your concern, Your Majesty. Xiao Yunduan expressed his gratitude once more. Rise, Emperor Qian commanded with a wave of his hand, his gaze coldly sweeping over the courtiers. Is there anything else you wish to address? The courtiers shook their heads, acknowledging that the emperor's perspective was just. No one dared to voice any dissent. They all understood the clear message conveyed by the emperor. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc. Please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 991, Officer Tian. The courtiers watched as the emperor defended editor Xiao, realizing that he had received a stroke of good fortune. With the emperor's support, editor Xiao would have the freedom to act as he pleased at the Hanlin Academy and even have influence over the crown prince and other princes. Emperor Qian expressed his disgust and asked, "What about Qiao? Qiao at Hanlin Academy?" The left assistant minister of the Ministry of Personnel responded, "It is Qiao Hongxi, Your Majesty." "He is no good either," Emperor Qian exclaimed, knowing the internal affairs that outsiders were unaware of. "He takes advantage of strategist Xiao's soft-heartedness and bullies him. He is unworthy of his position. Demote him to an ordinary civilian without any rank. If he fails to show improvement, I doubt he can remain at Hanlin Academy any longer. You lack morality, do not tarnish the reputation of the Hanlin Academy." The left assistant minister bowed, his forehead covered in cold sweat. "Yes, Your Majesty." Emperor Qian released his pent-up anger, feeling somewhat relieved. He snorted and dismissed the court. Before leaving, he glanced at Officer Tian and commanded him to attend an audience. Officer Tian respectfully acknowledged, feeling even more ashamed. Xiao Yunduan bid farewell to the courtiers and departed from the Qianqing Palace. He waved to the departing courtiers and made his way back to the Hanlin Academy. The courtiers exchanged glances, shaking their heads, sighing, or even chuckling, each with their own thoughts on the events that had transpired. Editor Xiao was indeed fortunate, and it was clear that she should steer clear of any involvement with him in the future. The behavior of the Qiao family was completely uncalled for. They not only looked down upon editor Xiao and his wife but even went so far as to present them with a severance letter. What gave them the right to fabricate stories about them? The unkindness exhibited by the Qiao family, particularly Qiao Hongxi, was truly disappointing. It was foolish of them to think they could concoct false evidence. How would they feel when the truth inevitably came to light? In Dongnuan Pavilion, Officer Tian stood beneath, respectfully facing Emperor Qian, whose expression was quite grim. "Do you know why I have summoned you?" Emperor Qian inquired. Officer Tian dared not claim ignorance. He kneeled down and said, "I apologize. I did not explicitly order it, but I was not broad-minded enough. I allowed certain tactics to be employed and I purposefully remained silent. If it weren't for me, those individuals would not have troubled a newly appointed editor. I am deeply sorry, Your Majesty. Please punish me." Officer Tian kowtowed repeatedly on the ground, expressing his remorse. Emperor Qian, recognizing Officer Tian's astuteness, felt the anger within him dissipate. He acknowledged that Officer Tian possessed a sense of wisdom. "I will not punish you, but you have certainly made a fool of yourself. It's all in the past now and I have already addressed the issue publicly, haven't I? If anyone dares to bring it up again, teach them a lesson. If anyone dares to resist, why make things difficult for my new Primus? He is talented and virtuous and I have plans for his future. There is no need for you to create further obstacles for him. It is always commendable to rectify one's mistakes. Just ensure that such a situation does not arise again. Thank you for your kindness, Your Majesty. I will remember your teachings. I apologize, but concerning my daughter," Officer Tian sighed, his voice filled with regret. Emperor Qian understood the predicament. The Tian family's daughter had always been exceptional and proud, one of the finest among the noble ladies. It was a great disappointment that she had fallen into such a trap in her marriage. No wonder old Tian was so upset. His actions were driven by love for his daughter. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc. Please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 992, Revenge? No one was to blame, it was simply a regrettable mistake. Emperor Xian's expression softened. Very well, let's put this behind us. Never speak of it again. Yes, Your Majesty. You may go now. Thank you, Your Majesty. Officer Tian let out a sigh of relief as he exited the pavilion. That was a close call. He had felt utterly humiliated. For the time being, he would refrain from taking any actions against Xiao Yunduan. He would ensure that nothing would happen to him and that everything would go smoothly within a year. Otherwise, the blame would fall on his daughter, and that was simply exasperating. Officer Tian's annoyance grew, prompting him to change his plans. Instead of heading to the governmental office, he decided to go straight home to Madame Qiao. Inside the residence, Tian Shanshan was engaged in conversation with her mother. Observing Officer Tian's troubled expression, she offered a comforting smile. Who upset you? You must also take care of yourself. Don't let these matters get to you. If you show your anger, it will only invite sympathy from others and make us feel sorry for you. Madame Tian joined in, her smile gentle. Shanshan is right, my dear husband. Look at how filial our daughter is. Shanshan has always been a paragon of filial piety, and I am well aware of that. I am blessed to have such a wonderful daughter. Officer Tian chuckled, finding solace in Tian Shanshan's words. He felt a sense of relief wash over him. However, the weight of his daughter's recent misstep lingered in his mind, causing him further distress. She was such a kind-hearted girl, so why did she have to encounter such unfairness? He could no longer tolerate it. There was no time like the present to seek vengeance. After a brief exchange, Officer Tian escorted Tian Shanshan away and recounted the morning court incident to Madame Tian. Madame Tian felt a sense of suffocation. What does this have to do with you, dear husband? It's not your fault. If that Xiao person has offended someone, it's only natural for others to seek revenge. If he lacks the ability to handle it, he'll have to face the consequences. Why should you bear the blame? The Emperor's actions are completely unfair this time. Are we expected to shoulder the responsibility for anything that befalls the Xiao family? Madame Tian's words were fueled by her frustration, but Officer Tian could only offer a bitter smile and sigh. You're right. What do you mean? From this point forward, I will make it known that no one should cause any trouble for Xiao. I'll ensure that people pay attention to him and offer assistance if anything happens. Dear husband, you're being unreasonable. Madame Tian's annoyance grew. Don't worry, it's never too late for revenge. We can discuss this after a year and a half. Once this matter subsides, we won't be held accountable for any misfortunes that befall him. The Emperor believes that someone is trying to gain favor with me. If I don't take action, the blame will fall on me. Madame Tian's frustration grew. It's just too much. But that's what the Emperor has decided. What can we do? Madame Tian's eyes welled up with tears. She used a handkerchief to wipe them away. Poor Shanshan, she doesn't deserve this. Officer Tian's heart ached. It wasn't just his daughter who had been wronged. He felt deeply humiliated as well. The Emperor's scolding of Censor Lu in front of everyone had been unbearable. He had never felt such shame in the court before. Things will get better in the future. Our Shanshan is wonderful, and she will surely find a great partner. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 993, Venting Anger on His Daughter-in-Law. Yeah, that man doesn't deserve someone like Shanshan. Exactly. Mrs. Tian's frustration lingered, and she pondered for a moment before speaking up. We may not be able to touch Mr. Xiao, but what about Miss Qiao? Madame Tian didn't want to wait for 1.5 years to seek revenge. The thought of it was infuriating. Officer Tian considered the suggestion and replied, The Emperor won't interfere in matters concerning women. But be cautious and don't let things escalate. You can trust me, old master. Mrs. Tian grinned. Rest assured, I know what needs to be done. Madame Tian sneered inwardly. If the Emperor still remembered the man named Xiao, she could temporarily spare him. After all, the Emperor wouldn't always remember him. She would let him live in misery for a while. Her daughter-in-law was merely a concubine's daughter, cut off from her own family. She must have been spoiled by her maternal relatives, which explained her cowardice and lack of intelligence. Humiliating such a woman would be a piece of cake. There were plenty of people willing to do the dirty work for the Tian family. She didn't need to personally intervene. It was for Miss Qiao's own good, of course. Miss Qiao had been publicly humiliated by the government officials, and everyone was laughing at her. They were about to witness whether Miss Qiao could salvage her pride. Then he would realize how mistaken he was. He would learn the weight of his loss if he didn't marry Shanshan. Miss Qiao's humiliation was imminent, and she would no longer find a place for herself in the capital. The more Madame Tian dwelled on this thought, the more content she became. Xiao Yunduan and Xiao Xian held a small celebration in the courtyard of the Xiao family. Both of them felt a sense of relief. With this knowledge, the Tian family wouldn't dare to make a move for at least 1.5 years. And 1.5 years provided ample time to bring about significant changes and accomplishments. In a few days, he'll find an opportunity to inform the secretary of Hanlin College that we'll be returning to our hometown to pay respects to our ancestors. We'll take care of everything back home. Xiao Xian nodded in agreement. Yes, we should handle our family affairs diligently. Xiao Xian couldn't simply disregard the fields and other properties they owned. Although Miss Fang and her family would assist in looking after them, the Yuezheng family in the province would also lend a helping hand. However, Xiao Xian's unique abilities were required to tend to the fruit trees and crops. They decided to explore the capital and purchase gifts to bring back home, allowing everyone in the family to experience a taste of the city. Xiao Yunduan had no objections to the plan. While Xiao Yunduan attended to his duties at the Imperial Academy, Xiao Xian ventured out with Li Qiao and Li Xia to shop for various presents for their family. Considering the long journey ahead, Xiao Xian refrained from purchasing too many items, opting for lighter and more manageable choices. However, due to the nature of snacks and pastries, it was challenging to transport them over a long distance. As a result, they reluctantly decided to forego the delectable treats and instead purchase dried fruits that could be used to make candy delicacies. Xiao Xian made another visit to various pharmacies, hoping to come across some live ginseng roots. The intention was to acquire them and store them in the space, anticipating the possibility of pleasant surprises. Xiao Xian couldn't shake off the feeling that the space was on the verge of undergoing an upgrade. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 994. Buying Living Ginseng. At this moment, if she could acquire 10 or 20 live ginseng plants and cultivate them, it would likely yield positive results. Expensive flowers like orchids and peonies could also prove to be highly effective. However, in the capital, such luxurious flowers and trees were always in high demand. They would be swiftly purchased by princes, kings, monarchs, and affluent families before even reaching the market. Money wasn't an issue for her, but she lacked the necessary skills. Hence, contemplating the matter was essentially futile. The demand for ginseng in the capital was exceedingly high. Perhaps, if luck favored him, he might be able to make a purchase? Xiao Xian had an exceptionally fortunate day. She successfully procured some live ginsengs from 2 different stores. In total, there were approximately 30 ginseng plants, varying in size. Xiao Xian felt as if she had discovered a treasure and managed to acquire everything at a bargain price. The amount she spent ran into tens of thousands. Even the wealthiest families in the capital did not purchase ginseng in this manner. Xiao Xian gained quite a reputation in the ginseng business, with numerous ginseng vendors eagerly offering their products to her. Even the 2 stores she had bought from were enthusiastically recommending some aged ginsengs. However, Xiao Xian declined all their offers. Although these aged ginsengs were of high quality, she could sense their lack of vitality. Over time, they had dried up and transformed into mere medicinal herbs. No matter how excellent they might be, they were of no use to her. Xiao Xian planted the 30 or so ginseng plants in her garden space. The following day, she witnessed all of them taking root in the soil and gradually rejuvenating. The spiritual energy was so abundant that Xiao Xian could see the expansion of the spring water area from the Proficiency Sutra. Standing near the spring, she gazed into the distance, unable to discern its end. It extended at least 3,000 to 4,000 meters away. Curiously, Xiao Xian casually broke a pomegranate and inserted it into the soil. To her surprise, the pomegranate firmly took root in the ground. The interspace no longer rejected ordinary plants like it used to. Even simple items were now accepted by the space. Xiao Xian was astonished. She had no idea how many things she could cultivate in this vast and fertile land. Regardless of the crop, it was evident that it would thrive and grow faster within this space. Moreover, the hut provided a storage space where items would never spoil. In the future, even during times of hardship like the Great Desolate Year, there would be no need to worry. Qiao Xian pondered over how to maximize the utilization of this land. Qiao Xian's first step was to divide the remaining 6 potatoes and plant 4.5 of them. She allocated 1.5 potatoes to the backyard of her small house in the capital. When the time for harvest arrived, it would be difficult for anyone to distinguish them if they were mixed together. The yield in the interspace was even more impressive. In less than 2 years she would accumulate countless potatoes as seeds. Initially she had some concerns. The potatoes needed to be planted within the current year, as planting them too late would be past the suitable season. Even though she had the assistance of the interspace, it wasn't ideal to delay the planting for too long. Since Qiao Xian was returning to her hometown with Xiao Yunduan, she couldn't plant the potatoes there. They had to be planted in the capital. However, the journey was long and time-consuming. It would take more than 3 months to reach their destination. Who knew what would become of the potatoes by the time they returned to the capital? Nevertheless, she had no other option. She was still in a dilemma, but unexpectedly the interspace upgraded and became more accommodating. Now she no longer had to worry. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 995. Updated Space. They could simply plant some in the backyard. Even if something went wrong, they could utilize the space to compensate for any setbacks. That was an incredibly positive development. Qiao Xian sensed that there was more than 300 mu of available land for cultivation in the intermediate space, although the exact number was not fixed. She could sense that the amount of arable land was increasing every day, but she wondered how long it would continue. Based on current estimates, another 300 mu would be available in approximately 10 days. If this situation could persist for 1 or 2 months, it would be fantastic. Qiao Xian had already made a firm decision. She was going to plant rice on the additional 300 mu. Farming in this space was different from outside. There was no need to flood the fields with water. The seeds could be sprinkled directly. When she purchased the rice seeds, she felt a bit overwhelmed by the large patch of land. Even if she were to plant just rice seeds alone, it would be an arduous task for one person. So Qiao Xian attempted to plant the seeds using her divine sense, which turned out to be successful. She was overjoyed. Within less than an hour, all 300 mu of rice had been planted. She concentrated and composed herself. She could even feel the rice seeds silently burrowing into the ground, reaching a depth, preparing for germination and gathering strength to emerge from the soil. At night, she couldn't resist coming to check again. The 300 mu of rice fields were already displaying a faint, tender green color. The rice seeds had already sprouted, and small needle-like sprouts were growing. From a distance, the sight was a soothing, pale green, soft and adorable, evoking a sense of relaxation and joy. Qiao Xian was filled with immense delight. It was as if they had already glimpsed the bountiful harvest that awaited them. This place was abundant in fertility and vibrant energy, alleviating any concerns about diseases, pests, and unpredictable weather. They were undoubtedly poised for a bountiful harvest. Qiao Xian contemplated that upon her return to the village, she would plant additional fruit trees and create an orchard. This way fresh fruits could be enjoyed throughout the year. And the beauty of it was that it didn't matter whether one resided in the north or south. Qiao Xian happily entertained these thoughts when Xiao Yunduan brought up the idea of paying respects to their ancestors to the chancellor of Hanlin College. But now he needed to carefully consider the matter. It was every scholar's ultimate dream to return to their hometown with honor after achieving the position of Primus. Paying homage to their ancestors was a glorious act, one that brought great honor to their family. The chancellor dared not refuse them outright, yet he also hesitated to agree too hastily, fearing the wrath of the Tian family. So, with a smile, he vaguely stated that he needed some time to ponder the request and promised to provide Xiao Yunduan with an answer within a couple of days. Meanwhile, he assigned some tasks to keep Xiao Yunduan occupied, allowing him the opportunity to pay tribute to his ancestors. Xiao Yunduan nodded in understanding. The courtyard scholar let out a sigh of relief. He couldn't reject Primus Xiao's request, yet he had intentionally made things challenging, making it difficult for the Tian family to find fault with him any longer. Xiao Yunduan and Qiao Xian paid little heed to these circumstances. On that day, Qiao Xian received an invitation from Madame Lin of Hanlin Academy, inviting her to a gathering the next day. Qiao Xian promptly replied, assuring her attendance. Of course she would attend. Xiao Yunduan worked at Hanlin Academy and had numerous colleagues there. If she were to skip the gathering, it would seem rather unsociable. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 996, Guest. Qiao Xian harbored doubts about her ability to navigate the gathering. Hanlin Academy held significant governmental authority, and many officials within were financially struggling. Some frequented pawnshops numerous times in a year. However, such positions held great value. To achieve fame and become an exemplary figure among scholars worldwide was to etch one's name into the annals of history. Moreover, the imperial court relied on Hanlin Academy scholars to compile official records, a prestigious duty that filled scholars with pride. Additionally, Hanlin Academy offered an alternative path. The 6 ministries, particularly the Ministry of Personnel and Ministry of Revenue, were staffed by individuals transferred from Hanlin Academy. To ascend to higher positions within the government and become heads of departments, one needed to undergo training at Hanlin Academy. Throughout the history of the Qin dynasty, every minister without exception hailed from the 6 ministries of Hanlin Academy, proceeding through the Ministry of Personnel before entering higher echelons of power. Though the odds of becoming a court leader were slim, admission to Hanlin Academy undoubtedly presented an opportunity, right? And due to this slim chance, officials within the 6 ministries were cautious about offending those from Hanlin Academy. After all, one could never predict the future. What if the person they offended today became the prime minister tomorrow? Or what if someone with whom they maintained good relations rose to the position of first secretary? Unless it was a matter of life and death, there was no need to stir up trouble unnecessarily. Hence, Hanlin Academy held a unique and significant position within the entire bureaucratic structure of the capital. Lin Hanlin, currently a 6th-ranked servant, held a rank higher than Xiao Yunduan and exhibited commendable performance. He had promising prospects, potentially advancing to become a 5th-ranked servant or even joining the esteemed 6 tribes for further training. Madame Lin took great pride in her husband's accomplishments and held a prominent position among the wives of the officials at Hanlin Academy. Officer Lin, originally not from the capital, had dedicated 10 years of service at Hanlin Academy. Due to limited income, he had been unable to afford a house for a long time. In the earlier years he faced significant hardships. However, 2 years ago he received a substantial reward, allowing him to rent a decent living space. The banquet was hosted in this modest courtyard. Qiao Xian arrived at an opportune moment. As the wife of the Primus, she no longer carried the same audacity she had possessed when she assumed the role of Primus. She now identified herself simply as Mrs. Editor. Qiao Xian understood her place very well. Upon her arrival at the Lin household, she presented the gifts and greeted everyone with politeness. By this point, Qiao Xian had already discerned that the banquet might not unfold favorably. The gifts she brought included 2 pieces of fine Hangzhou silk, 2 pieces of inkstone of equal quality, and 2 boxes of renowned Yangxiang's pastries from the capital. The pastries encompassed a total of 8 varieties, accompanied by 2 boxes of high-quality preserves, each consisting of 8 different kinds. This present was very generous among the women from the Hanlin Academy. The silk alone cost 5 liang. The Lin family was not a rich family, and Qiao Xian should have been very happy to receive such a generous gift from them, as if she were visiting a senior. Madame Lin should have treated her well too. But Qiao Xian observed carefully, Madame Lin was very happy, and she smiled brightly when she saw the presents. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 997, Good Helper? However, the entire process didn't last long. Soon enough, her smile faded and she rose from her seat. Qiao Xian comprehended the situation clearly. Madame Lin deliberately neglected to introduce the other madams to Qiao Xian. Qiao Xian wasn't someone to be easily manipulated. If Madame Lin refused to introduce them, Qiao Xian would make the request with a polite smile. Reluctantly, Madame Lin finally introduced them to her. Regardless of whether the other madams avoided her or treated her with fake smiles, Qiao Xian remained indifferent. All she needed was to know who they were. Madame Lin had invited numerous guests for the occasion, including 12 women from Hanlin Academy and the 6 ministries. The living room of the Lin household was filled with bustling noise, comprising both maids and elderly women. Xiao Yunduan, as one of the 6 advanced scholars who had recently joined Hanlin Academy, had 3 wives accompanying him. Madame Zhou and Madame Han, the new wives of the officials, harbored strong hostility towards Qiao Xian. Although they were not well acquainted with each other, this shared sentiment brought them closer, engrossed in their own conversations and laughter. Their disdain for Qiao Xian only deepened. Qiao Xian, who had been treated as a mere tool, could only sigh inwardly. The women chatted and laughed among themselves, purposefully ignoring Qiao Xian. It seemed they had no interest in engaging with her, whether intentionally or unintentionally. Qiao Xian had never intended to involve herself with them. Neither she nor Xiao Yunduan needed their approval. With the emperor's support, they wouldn't dare to make trouble regardless of their dissatisfaction. After all, Censor Lu had been dismissed, and no one would risk making jests about their husband's future. They rarely associated with each other, and their presence had minimal impact on Qiao Xian's life. She had no intention of ingratiating herself with individuals she knew had ill intentions. That was simply the nature of their social circle. Unless they willingly accepted someone, forcefully entering their ranks was an arduous task. Furthermore, it was evident that the circle held a dislike towards her. "Oh, Mrs. Xiao Xiao, why are you so quiet? Come and join our conversation," one of the madams suddenly remarked, accompanied by a smile. All eyes turned towards Qiao Xian. "She is the wife of the Primus and she's quite exceptional. It's no wonder she doesn't find us appealing." Someone sneered. The comment wasn't particularly loud, yet it resonated with everyone present. Another person chimed in, laughing brightly, "Well, that's not entirely accurate. Times change and the concept of honor and humiliation can fluctuate. We ought to see what the future holds." 10 or 20 years down the line we'll have a clearer understanding. Everyone nodded in agreement. Indeed, being adept at studying doesn't guarantee proficiency in the role of an officer. Throughout history, there have been numerous advanced scholars who ascended to positions of power. Yes, success hinges not only on examination results, but also on genuine talent and character. Absolutely. If one lacks integrity, everything else becomes a facade. In my view, having a virtuous spouse is crucial. Laughter erupted among the gathering. That's right. We need a virtuous spouse to support us. A harmonious marriage is the key to avoiding trouble. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 998, Pretending? Qiao Xian smiled in response. Indeed, a good wife should refrain from speaking nonsensically and avoid causing unnecessary trouble. It is often the tongue that creates problems. Engaging in idle chatter is not worth the trouble. That's the wisdom I've acquired, isn't it? Her words caught everyone off guard, and the expressions on 3 or 4 individuals' faces changed abruptly. They exchanged bewildered glances. They had marginalized Qiao Xian and spoken ill of her, believing she was meek and foolish. In their eyes, she had merely put on a facade of composure. Little did they know that within her she was already crumbling. As they looked down upon her, their envy grew. How could Primus Xiao, who had spurned the prestigious Tian family and rejected elder Miss, choose such a timid and foolish concubine's daughter? Unexpectedly, she had been pretending to be weak all along. Each word she uttered cut like a sharp blade. Madame Qin, known for her temper and seniority, seemed to assert her dominance. She sneered and aggressively addressed Qiao Xian. "That's not a trivial matter, Mrs. Xiao. Your modesty has surprised us all. But couldn't you speak with a bit more decorum? You should show respect to the host, shouldn't you? Madame Lin has been so gracious to us, and you wouldn't want to spoil the atmosphere and dampen everyone's spirits. What could be the reason behind your behavior? I know your husband is highly capable and the emperor supports him. However, that doesn't give you the audacity to disregard others' feelings, does it? I speak my mind freely, and am not even afraid if you get angry and report me." They exchanged glances, surprised by Madame Qin's obstinacy. Most of the other madams were aware of Madame Qin's hot temper and her penchant for putting on airs. She always sought praise wherever she went and enjoyed lecturing others with a sense of righteousness. Due to her husband's position as a 5th-ranked scholar, the second in command at the Hanlin Academy, everyone accorded her respect. Over time her arrogance only grew. Unexpectedly, Madame Qin was causing a scene once again. The other madams felt a mix of nervousness and excitement. How would Mrs. Xiao respond? Qiao Xian was taken aback. Yes, she had been mocking Madame Qin. What was wrong with that? After all, they had all been mocking her. She could sense that Madame Lin must have been influenced by the Tian family. Some of the attendees had ties to the Tian family or harbored jealousy towards her. Qiao Xian smiled calmly. I thought Madame Qin was praising me, but apparently that's not the case. However, I am uncertain as to what I have done wrong. Please enlighten me, Madame Qin. Madame Qin's face contorted in anger. It had been years since anyone had contradicted her so boldly in public. She cast a disdainful look at Qiao Xian and sneered, "You don't even understand your own actions. It's because you're slow-witted, despite having read so many books. I'm not obligated to teach you anything. You don't need to teach me anything either. Xiang, if you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible." Chapter 999, Apology? She stood up and declared, "Inform Madame Lin that I am taking my leave." Giving Qiao Xian a disdainful glance, Madame Qin made it clear that she had no desire to associate with her. Madame Lin happened to be in the kitchen, and Xiaoxiang nodded before leaving to deliver the message. The other madams became anxious, attempting to dissuade Madame Qin. "Madame Qin, please reconsider. I'll be so dull without you. Yes, it's such a rare gathering. Isn't it enjoyable to chat and laugh together? Mrs. Xiao is still young and inexperienced. Madame Qin, you possess magnanimity. Please calm down." Mrs. Zhou turned towards Qiao Xian. Mrs. Xiao apologized to Madame Qin. Smugly Mrs. Han chimed in, "Indeed, just apologize and Madame Qin will forgive you. Don't you want to preserve the harmony of this gathering?" Mrs. Zhou and Mrs. Han, both envious of Xiao Yunduan's equal ranking with their husbands, were eager to seize this opportunity. The rest of the madams nodded in agreement, expecting Qiao Xian to offer an apology. It appeared as though Qiao Xian was the one in the wrong. In that moment, Madame Lin arrived, wearing a smile. "Mrs. Xiao, Madame Qin is a senior figure whom we should respect, isn't that right? Apologizing to Madame Qin would be the appropriate course of action. It would be regrettable if she were to leave." Qiao Xian felt a surge of disgust as though she had swallowed a fly. Were these the wives of the Hanlin Academy? What were they thinking? She found herself being pressured to apologize, with even the host, Madame Lin, speaking up. Respecting the host was necessary, wasn't it? Qiao Xian began to make an assumption. If she were to apologize, it would imply that she was immature, unruly, and lacked understanding of what was appropriate. It would be seen as her first guest appearance, resulting in offense, raising concerns about her morality. If they chose not to apologize, they would be perceived as ignorant and obstinate, unaware of what was good for them. Their husbands being Primus gave them a sense of arrogance and entitlement, making them unreasonable and disrespectful towards their seniors and even the host. In essence, whether she apologized or not, she would be labeled as a person of questionable character. Even Xiao Yunduan wouldn't be spared from that judgment. Qiao Xian struggled to contemplate her next move, but tears wouldn't come. She covered her face and sobbed. "What have I done wrong? I simply expressed that as wives, we shouldn't engage in idle gossip like market women. What harm would it cause our husbands? What's so wrong about that? Madame Zhou and Madame Han keep insisting I'm in the wrong, but I fail to understand why." She turned to Madame Lin, grasping her sleeves, and lamented, "Madame Lin, you are the judge. Tell me, am I wrong? If you dare to say I'm wrong and consult my husband about this, let it be known that I will come to your doorstep and beg for forgiveness." Everyone present. Some astute individuals began to feel a sense of caution. Mrs. Xiao was not someone to be taken lightly. It was no wonder even the Tian family had faced her wrath. They concluded that it would be best to steer clear of her in the future. Madame Qin pursed her lips, growing even more infuriated. "If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible." Chapter 1000, Exposure? Madame Lin was at a loss for words. Well, Qiao Xian didn't give her a chance to think. She tugged at her sleeves. Mrs. Lin, am I wrong? Madame Lin had no choice but to shake her head. You are right. I knew Mrs. Lin is a very understanding person. Qiao Xian looked up at Mrs. Zhou and Mrs. Han. Mrs. Zhou, Mrs. Han, tell me, what did I do wrong? Should I apologize to you? What would be the point? Mrs. Zhou and Mrs. Han flushed with embarrassment. Madame Lin had just informed them of what Qiao Xian said, and now Qiao Xian was interrogating them. They couldn't counter Madame Lin's statement, and they had no choice but to remain silent. Annoyance began to well up within them towards Qiao Xian. As a couple, they felt even more humiliated in front of the gathered guests. They weren't as quick-witted or as audacious as Qiao Xian. Panic set in, leaving them dumbfounded and unable to utter a word, as beads of sweat formed on their foreheads. Madame Han snapped, her voice filled with anger. So many people have said that Mrs. Xiao is trying to drag us into her grudge. Qiao Xian almost burst into laughter, inwardly cursing at Madame Han's foolishness. She wasn't about to let go of this opportunity. She responded instantly, Mrs. Han, what are you talking about? I only heard the two of you speak. No one else said a word. Mrs. Han, please point it out. All eyes turned to Madame Han with disapproval. Madame Han was taken aback, realizing she had misspoken. Her face flushed with embarrassment, feeling deeply humiliated. You're up to no good, Madame Han exclaimed. Qiao Xian responded with curiosity, Of course I am up to no good. Mrs. Han, you spoke those words of your own accord without any coercion from me. I am merely following your lead. If you don't wish to answer me, I will pretend I never heard anything. You are accusing me without any valid reason, and it's quite perplexing. Mrs. Han's eyes widened, her lips quivered, and her face flushed with a mix of anger and embarrassment. How delightful. The others couldn't bear the situation any longer. It had become incredibly embarrassing for Mrs. Han. If given the chance, she would have loved nothing more than to tear Mrs. Xiao apart. They all sighed inwardly, realizing that Mrs. Xiao was not someone to be trifled with. Editor Xiao was a Primus, and he couldn't be foolish enough to offend the Tian family just to protect his wife. Mrs. Xiao couldn't possibly be an idiot. Even Madame Qin grew weary of the situation. She had a sense that she couldn't afford to provoke this woman, so she abandoned the idea. It would be immensely embarrassing if her attempts to confront Qiao Xian backfired. Concerns about her husband's position and Qiao Xian's temper had made everyone yield to her demands in the past, and she was well aware of that fact. Now they realized they had kicked a hornet's nest. Well, never mind, Madame Min forced a laugh and tried to appear relaxed. I believe it's just a misunderstanding. We are all friends here and we will be spending a lot of time together in the future. We can discuss things calmly, there's no need to be so serious, right? A collective sigh of relief swept through the room, and everyone nodded with forced smiles. Madame Lin expressed her gratitude to Madame Min and smiled. It's entirely my fault as the host. I haven't served you properly, please forgive me. Let's have some more tea and continue our conversation. We'll have dinner soon, and we can enjoy a pleasant chat afterward. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1001, Famous? Everyone smiled and shifted the conversation to a different topic. Madame Lin instructed the maids to bring more tea and snacks, greeted everyone, and headed to the kitchen to check on the progress of the dishes. Madame Qin, who had intended to leave, was convinced to stay and return to her seat. Madame Han's face was still flushed with embarrassment, but she didn't want to leave on a sour note. It was her first invitation from her husband's wife, after all. Casting a sharp glance at Qiao Xian, she reluctantly sat back down. Even Mrs. Zhou felt a sense of unease. She made a silent promise to herself to never interfere in others' affairs again. Qiao Xian had gained a newfound reputation after this confrontation, and even Madame Qin couldn't help but view her in a different light. Qiao Xian carried herself with even more confidence than before. Eventually, a couple of madams exchanged pleasantries with her. Qiao Xian reciprocated the greetings. Many of those who had initially planned to ridicule Qiao Xian decided to drop the idea after witnessing her resilience. No one wanted to be embarrassed in return. 3 women bargaining in a market turned into a gathering of over 10 women engaged in lively conversation. Although their husbands held modest positions, and Madame Qin's husband was only ranked 5th, He possessed extensive knowledge about the noble families, princes, kings, and monarchs. Madame Qin was thrilled to engage in discussions on such topics. They shared stories about conflicts between concubines in the household, which young masters kept mistresses and clashed with their first wives. They delved into discussions about fashion, jewelry, cosmetics, and various hobbies. They also shared information about stores offering affordable items, expensive snacks, and the trickiest department stores to navigate. Qiao Xian was captivated by the gossip, despite not fully understanding the context. The sudden mention of the Empress Dowager's peony piqued her curiosity. One of the women continued, "I heard that the peony withered just a few days ago." The news spread like wildfire within the palace walls. The emperor's anger was so intense that he punished the eunuchs responsible for the imperial garden. He even issued a decree that anyone in charge of the garden would be buried with the peony if it died. The tension in the palace is palpable, and everyone is walking on eggshells, afraid of incurring the emperor's wrath. Gossip related to the royal family always held a special allure, and Madame Qin too was captivated by the story. "Is this really true? Are you certain?" "It must be true. My cousin has close ties with the 7th young mistress of Lord Jian's 3rd household, and she's the one who shared this information with me. She wouldn't spread false rumors." It does sound plausible. During the Empress Dowager's lifetime, she had a deep affection for peonies. The emperor himself personally planted a peony for her, symbolizing their mother-son relationship. The Empress Dowager personally cared for it while she was alive. Even after her passing, the emperor would visit the peony and reminisce about her. If the peony were to wither, the emperor would undoubtedly be infuriated. The women exchanged intrigued glances, engrossed in the tale of palace intrigue. They all sighed. Those gardeners in the imperial garden are so useless. They can't even take care of one flower. True. If they can't be saved, then the palace, just drop it. Right? So the gossips soon turned to the topic on which princess in the palace was favored and whether she would be selected next year. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1002, Protection. Qiao Xian was not in the mood to listen anymore. She was thinking about peony flowers. That was just gossip for others, but for Qiao Xian, it was a temptation that she could not give up. If the peony flowers were really so precious, and if she could save them, the emperor would definitely be very happy. Also, no one knew what would happen to the peony flowers in the future, so no one would dare offend her at all. What if she was harmed, and the peonies went wrong in the future, and the emperor could not find anyone to save them? Then the culprit would definitely be investigated thoroughly. In that case, the culprit would definitely be doomed when found out. That was totally a protecting amulet for herself. She and Xiao Yunduan had no one to rely on in the capital, and the Tian family hated them for no reason. If they had such a strong supporter, they would have nothing to worry about. The more Qiao Xian thought about this, the more excited she got. Of course, it was not easy to make a big deal out of this. If the treatment failed, it would be a disaster. But Qiao Xian still wanted to have a try. They had to take a huge risk to get the benefits. Qiao Xian did not care about the banquet anymore. Qiao Xian's relentless pursuit of information about the peony flowers paid off as the madam willingly shared more details. She couldn't help but be intrigued by Qiao Xian's genuine interest and straightforwardness. Meanwhile, Madame Lin and her 2 friends had initially planned to embarrass Qiao Xian during the banquet, but her unexpected confrontation had foiled their scheme. They were now apprehensive about getting involved further, fearing retaliation from Qiao Xian. In an attempt to undermine her, one of them had discreetly arranged for a plate of quail eggs, hoping to trick her. However, Qiao Xian's sharp senses enabled her to detect the potential trap, and she skillfully avoided it, leaving the others hesitant to make any further attempts. Despite the tense atmosphere earlier, the meal proceeded smoothly and everyone enjoyed themselves. Once the guests departed, Madame Lin took stock of the presents received. To her surprise, none of them compared to the valuable gift presented by Qiao Xian. This mixture of happiness and annoyance stirred within Madame Lin as she pondered the implications of Qiao Xian's extravagant offering. It was customary for a first-time visitor to bring more gifts, but this particular gift was exceptionally valuable, leaving Madame Lin with conflicting emotions. They were relieved to have benefited from the gathering, but they also felt concerned about Qiao Xian's potential inability to explain her extravagant gift. However, a maid came up with a clever solution, suggesting that they assist Qiao Xian in promoting her status. Madame Lin found the idea quite brilliant and smiled approvingly. "You're quite clever. That's a wonderful suggestion." Many of the officials at the Hanlin courtyard were financially strained, with some even living in cramped shared housing. Each winter they had to resort to pawning or borrowing money just to make ends meet. If word spread that Mrs. Xiao was wealthy and generous, it would pique the interest of these officials, who would undoubtedly seek financial assistance from her. Considering that Editor Xiao was new to the area and had incurred the displeasure of the Tian family, maintaining a low profile was crucial. However, if he ever found himself in need of being asked to loan out money to those officials, he would definitely have to do so. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1003, Offence? She couldn't help but lend out the second and third, considering she had already lent out one. Even if they had borrowed the money, their reluctance to return it was evident. They continuously postponed repayment. Could they audaciously demand someone else to return it? Such actions would undoubtedly offend numerous individuals. The Tian family had deliberately targeted them, seeking opportunities to find fault. It was an effective strategy. Mrs. Lin's worries had dissipated. She engaged in a conversation with the maid on how to spread Qiao Xian's reputation. Meanwhile, Qiao Xian couldn't stop thinking about the peony ever since she returned home. After dinner, she inquired with Xiao Yunduan if he had any information about it. After pondering for a moment, Xiao Yunduan nodded with a smile. "A few days ago, I heard some news about it." Qiao Xian's face lit up and she asked eagerly, "What is happening? Please enlighten me, husband." Xiao Yunduan felt somewhat helpless. He attempted to recall the details and conveyed them in simple terms. Just as Qiao Xian had mentioned, the peony held great spiritual significance for the late Empress Dowager, which made it incredibly valuable to the emperor. No one within the palace dared to make even the slightest noise about this matter. Everyone understood that failure to safeguard the peony would result in someone within the palace facing dire consequences. It was uncertain whether it would implicate the consorts, princes and princesses. After all, the emperor's wrath was not an exaggerated claim but a harsh reality. Xiao Yunduan's heart skipped a beat, and he instantly became alert when the thought of Qiao Xian saving the orchid given by Xie Jingrong crossed his mind. He looked at her with concern and asked, "Why are you inquiring about this? Do you believe you can handle it? It's too risky." Qiao Xian knew he wouldn't agree, so she had planned to proceed secretly without informing him. To her surprise, he had already contemplated the matter after gathering some information. Deciding not to conceal her intentions, she took hold of his sleeve and gently shook it. "Darling, sometimes you have to take risks to achieve something great. I don't want you to take such a risk. Don't talk like that." Xiao Yunduan was torn between amusement and frustration. Did he really have to rely on her to venture into the lion's den? Nevertheless, while this task might be extremely challenging for others, I am 80% confident in my abilities. It's worth giving it a try. Xian or no. If it were any other family, you could go ahead if you wanted. Even if it failed, it wouldn't have grave consequences. But this involves the royal family. The emperor is infuriated by this matter. All the court officials, princes and consorts are on edge, fearing that the emperor will unleash his anger upon them for no apparent reason. Right now, others can't wait to keep their distance, and yet you dare to approach him? Not even 99%. Have you considered the consequences if he fails? Have you thought about what the emperor might do? Failure could cost him his life. His words resonated with Qiao Xian, leaving her feeling both hesitant and moved. However, she couldn't bring herself to give up. "My love, this opportunity is like a rare gift bestowed upon us. If we let it slip away, we will surely regret it. Can't you trust me just this once? If I didn't have confidence, why would I be willing to take such a risk? I must go. Help me find a way to achieve a compromise, but please don't outright reject me. Don't you realize that Madame Lin is hosting an event in my honor today? Those wives of Hanlin scholars and low-ranking officials are intentionally ridiculing and isolating me. I simply cannot tolerate this humiliation." Xiao Yunduan furrowed his brow. "What did they do?" Qiao Xian smiled. "It's nothing more than petty and somewhat amusing. If you find any errors, Ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc. Please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. You're tuning in to the Hanlin's Wuxia Chronicles YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.